Chapter 1205. In the sky, flames and darkness clashed back and forth, erupting with destructive power. Sand and rocks were blown away as the shockwave spread. The battle between the demonic phoenix and the black dragon was becoming more and more intense. Just the shockwaves of their power alone were enough to kill a normal living being. There were no longer any living demonic ghosts in sight at the front lines. The black dragon was getting stronger and stronger, but was also getting heavier and heavier. The demonic phoenix was gradually becoming less and less willing to fight the black dragon head-on. Instead, it was using its agility and speed to look for gaps in the black dragon's defense. At some point, the demonic phoenix found a chance and pecked at the dragon manifested from the black fog. Dong! The dull sound traveled far between heaven and earth. The demonic phoenix pecked a 7-colored shield. Svalin's shield. Although it couldn't summon abyssal monsters here, it didn't lose its other defensive abilities. And thanks to its unique ability to protect the soul, Gu Qingshan didn't completely lose his consciousness. Even though he managed to block the demonic phoenix's attack, the immense impact still caused Gu Qingshan to fall into a daze. Gu Qingshan returned to his human form and descended from the sky. The demonic phoenix regained its senses. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. As it was about to unleash its movement technique to attack, it sensed a terrifying killing intent. The demonic phoenix paused and cautiously looked at Gu Qingshan, as well as the human girl who suddenly appeared next to Gu Qingshan. Xie Daoling had finally arrived. She put her hand on Gu Qingshan's shoulder to help him stabilize his body. Such immense power. Is this the power of the dragon race? She put her hand on Gu Qingshan's back, reached out with her other hand, and quickly formed a hand seal. Secret art, 9 stars, sea cleansing. Xie Daoling scowled. She immediately sensed the pain that Gu Qingshan was suffering. This was a secret art used to help others cleanse their power, so when it was used, it would naturally take a portion of the unabsorbed power from the other party. Fortunately, her cultivation was higher than Gu Qingshan's, so her ability to absorb power was naturally higher as well. Gu Qingshan, who was in a daze, slowly regained his senses. The pain in his body quickly faded, returning to a level that a normal person could endure. "Master, why are you here?" he asked hurriedly. "I sensed that you were fighting, so I performed a divination, so I came to take a look," Xie Daoling simply explained. "What divination did Shifu give me?" Gu Qingshan asked. "The proud dragon has its regrets. Wealth cannot last long, and poverty is a calamity. Now that I'm here, it's indeed so. I didn't expect my disciple to fight so hard now." Xie Daoling glanced at the front line filled with broken bones and calmly replied, "You've already fought to this point as your Shifu. I naturally can't slack off any longer. Cultivators, you all think too highly of yourselves." A voice suddenly came from the distant sky. Master and disciple looked over at the same time. It was the demonic phoenix that had spoken. "You beat the little one, and now the big one is here? You humans are truly sly and despicable." He stared straight at Xie Daoling and slowly provoked her. Xie Daoling ignored it and asked Gu Qingshan, "How many dragons did you kill?" "2. No wonder Xie Daoling's expression was solemn as she solemnly told him. "This duo dragon power is extremely rare. The upper limit of its power has already surpassed mine, so it could be considered a great opportunity. But after you absorb it, you must not be arrogant and impatient. You should know that there are countless mysteries within the infinite worlds, as well as countless unique abilities. Being strong doesn't necessarily mean you will win, so you must still be careful when you travel outside. Your disciple understands. But if the upper limit of your disciple's power surpasses that of Master, wouldn't that mean I've already surpassed the realm of Mahesvara King? Why am I still facing my tribulation here?" Gu Qingshan asked doubtfully. Xie Daoling shook her head and replied, "The heaven's tribulation only increases the upper limit of a cultivator's spirit energy, which is completely different from the power of the dragon race. Furthermore, once the heaven's tribulation passes, the Mahesvara king, realm's 48 dependent thaumaturgies as well as Mahesvara King's thaumaturgies would naturally manifest. These are all cultivation-type powers that have nothing to do with the power of the dragon race that you wield. Gu Qingshan was enlightened. I see. Disciple understands now. Suddenly, a glaring cloud of fire lit up the sky. Bastard! The demonic phoenix glared at the two of them and screeched. You're talking like this? Are you treating this venerable one as if I don't exist? Xie Daoling glanced at it, then continued to tell Gu Qingshan, the power of the dragon race that you've refined is too tyrannical, so I've now refined these two types of dragon power into a pure and gentle source of power. This way, absorbing them wouldn't cause too much of a burden on your body and mind. Gu Qingshan checked his body. The rate of absorption didn't change, but it had turned from a raging torrent to a silent river. The pain lessened even further. He felt like he had regained his consciousness. How miraculous! There's actually such a technique, Gu Qingshan praised. Xie Daoling continued. I only thought of this secret art after seeing your current state. If you want to learn it, I can teach you. Gu Qingshan answered without hesitation. All right, I really need this secret art. I might need it in the future. The power of Magic Dragon's bloodline can absorb the power of various living beings. If I can grasp this secret art to refine and purify my power, I won't have to worry about being harmed by certain types of power. Xie Daoling then sent her voice through inner sight and told Gu Qingshan about this secret art. Gu Qingshan silently listened, then asked a few more questions and slowly grasped this secret art. On the other side, the demonic phoenix couldn't hold itself back anymore. It flapped its wings, wanting to rush forward and kill these two arrogant human cultivators. However, as soon as it spread its wings, it immediately retracted them, because another female cultivator had appeared from the void of space. It was still Xie Daoling. From the void of space, more and more female cultivators appeared, all of whom looked exactly the same as that human female cultivator. In an instant, the entire void of space was filled with that female cultivator. Thaumaturgy, myriad clones. The demonic phoenix retracted its ferocious aura and carefully observed Xie Daoling, re-evaluating her. So you have such a thaumaturgy. It seems you aren't a normal cultivator, worthy of my serious treatment. Xie Daoling glanced at it and continued. Qingshan, I saw a mural in the ancient city of immortals and recalled something I've never seen before. Gu Qingshan commented. That's strange. Shifu had clearly never come into contact with such things. Why would you be like this? Could it be a memory from your past life? Xie Daoling muses. I don't know either, but I can sense something. If we can reach the summit of Mount Sumeru this time, we'll definitely discover something, she continued. Last time at the 900 Million World Layers Alliance, after you left, one of your friends, a woman called Yinji, helped me seal my presence out of goodwill, allowing me to return to my child form. I noticed that in this state, it was very easy for me to realize certain things of the past, so I slowly pondered the origin of this technique and grasped it. Gu Qingshan praised. Shifu, I remember that Yinji wasn't a cultivator, yet you were able to learn her technique. How impressive. Xie Daoling smiled as her eyebrows slowly smoothed out. As the power of the dragon race continued to cleanse her body, the pain she was enduring was also becoming weaker. She then asked, Qingshan, from your expression, I can tell that you're a bit anxious. Why is that? Gu Qingshan replied, this disciple made a few friends in the 900 million world layers. We agreed to have a group fight at noon. They're all here now. I'm the only one who hasn't arrived yet. Noon? I still want you to face your tribulation first. After all, the Mahesvara thaumaturgy is very useful. Even if you fight, it'll probably be useful. While saying that, Xie Daoling glanced at the sky. At this point, the cold night was about to end. The sun was about to rise. The world was bathed in a faint light. Dawn was about to arrive. Xie Daoling quickly calculated her mind and said, Qingshan, once I turn into a little girl, it's very easy for me to fall into my memories and enlightenment without any distractions, causing me to lose sight of my surroundings. But since I have to find the secret of this divine mountain of Sumeru, I've been very cautious ever since I faced my tribulation. And now, Qing Shan, after you've absorbed the power of the two dragons. Although your cultivation hasn't broken through yet, your non-cultivator power has already surpassed mine. You'll be my protector. We master and disciple will quickly face this tribulation, Gu Qingshan asked. Sure, Fu. How long do I need to fully absorb the power of this dragon race? About a quarter of an hour, Xie Dao Ling replied. Gu Qingshan felt assured. Shifu will need someone to protect her as she searches for information on this Mount Sumeru. After 15 minutes, I'll have the power of the two dragons. Protecting her won't be an issue. He then said, Shifu, leave the matter of protection to me. The only problem is that this Mount Sumeru is very vast. If we want to face the tribulation as soon as possible, we'll need to travel at full speed. Hearing that, Xie Daoling pondered. I originally had a flying mount called the Peacock. Unfortunately, I didn't bring it with me for this tribulation. Gu Qingshan also sighed and said, during the Spirit Beast riot last time, I cut off my flying mount, and my ship is still parked in the space vortex. The master and disciple both showed regretful expressions. Wait a minute. The two of them seemed to have recalled something and turned to look at the demonic phoenix. Gu Qingshan spoke up. Sure, Fu. I heard that phoenixes are a bit faster than peacocks. Xie Daoling nodded and muttered. Indeed, legend has it that phoenixes are the steadiest. Unfortunately, ever since I started cultivating, I've never ridden a phoenix before. This disciple also hasn't. The demonic phoenix looked at all the female human cultivators in the sky and was hesitating, then suddenly sensed two gazes. It looked at the pair of master and disciple, only to see that they were staring at it with a strange expression on their faces. The demonic phoenix felt an inexplicable chill in its heart, instinctively sensing something amiss. It shouted with a stern voice, You, what are you trying to do? Gu Qingshan ignored it and told Xie Daoling, Sure, Fu, take a look. This phoenix hasn't shed its demonic presence. It might not be easy to tame. Xie Daoling thought for a bit and said, If it sees us as enemies, it won't be easy to bribe it. How about this? I'll beat it up first. If that doesn't work, I'll beat it up a few more times. Gu Qingshan wiped the sweat off her forehead and quickly followed Xie Daoling's train of thought. There's no hurry, Sure, Fu. I remember that demonic birds are most afraid of cultivators' lightning tribulation. Using lightning might be a bit more effective. Ah, that's true, Xie Daoling understood. A few moments later, she took out a whip. Then, demonic phoenix, are you willing to become my mount? Xie Daoling asked. Mount? You want me to be your mount? The demonic phoenix was furious, preparing a string of curses in its mind, about to unleash them all at once. But then, Xie Daoling suddenly flicked the whip in her hand. Sparks of lightning coiled around the whip, moving around without stopping. Mahasvara, dependent thaumaturgy, dream jolt. Following that, the millions of Xie Daolings in the sky all pulled out their whips. Blazing lightning snakes coiled around each of the long whips. Countless Xie Daolings swung their whips at the same time. Sha-boom! A series of deafening thunderclaps rang out. Heaven and earth were illuminated by the lightning, like the sun and moon in the sky, or like a cultivator facing their lightning tribulation. The demonic phoenix froze. Xie Daoling looked at the demonic phoenix and casually said, Think carefully before you speak. Chapter 1206. The demonic phoenix's fur stood on end. Endless raging flames soared wantonly from its body. I'm going to ask you again, are you willing to become our mount? Xie Daoling asked. The demonic phoenix scoffed and cursed. With just the two of you. As soon as it said so, it turned into a blurred figure and escaped from the encirclement of the thousands of Xie Daoling. Xie Daoling chuckled and shook her head, then suddenly disappeared. Divine skill, ground shrink, rumble, rumble, rumble. Sparks and lightning clashed in the air. The thousands of Xie Daolings wielded their whips to fight against the demonic phoenix. Outside the battlefield, Gu Qingshan closed her eyes and focused on absorbing the remaining power of the two dragons. A minute was about to pass. With Xie Daoling's help, he was about to undergo a qualitative change in strength. This time, it was also an accident. Xie Daoling didn't think that he would have the power of 2 dragons, so she was very cautious. He didn't think that Xie Daoling's caution was only because she wanted to find secret. Fortunately, now that the two of them had reunited, Xie Daoling had taught Gu Qingshan a secret art, so that it wouldn't be so painful for her to absorb the power. Following this, Gu Qingshan would be able to protect Xie Daoling and help her search for the secret, so that Xie Daoling wouldn't have to worry about her safety. At this point, Gu Qingshan had also regained consciousness and had some free time, so she looked at the War God UI. The notifications on the screen were still there. Only after he finished reading them did they fade away and show the rest of the notifications. Warning, please immediately stop this power fusion. Otherwise, Gu Qingshan skimmed through the other notifications and directly read the combat notification's frowny face. You've killed a large amount of evil and forcefully converted them into the Divine Mountain's origin power. Because of this, your Mahasvara Thaumaturgy Orange Spear has evolved. Evil Suppressor, Orange Stealth, Mahasvara Thaumaturgy can evolve. This thaumaturgy must be attached to a long-handled weapon. When you use this thaumaturgy, your long-handled weapon will gain the invisibility effect, unable to be discovered by enemies weaker than yourself. Furthermore, this thaumaturgy can help you suppress all evil and forcefully convert them into origin power for the Divine Mountain of Sumeru. Attention! The more evil you suppress, the more the Divine Mountain of Sumeru will reward you. Specifically, the Divine Mountain of Sumeru will help you advance your Mahasvara Thaumaturgy step by step, depending on your contributions. Becoming stronger and stronger, Gu Qingshan nodded. After Orange Spear was Orange Concealment. It seemed like this growth god art still had a lot of room for improvement. It was a pity that he had drawn the name Big Tabby Cat. If he had drawn a title like Wielder of Heaven and Earth or Starflame War God, he probably would have become much stronger by now. TSK. Forget it. Having the Mahasvara spirit art is better than nothing. Perhaps when Orange Concealment matured, it would become a decent divine ability. Thinking of this, Gu Qingshan no longer had any regrets. He looked into the distance. Xie Daoling was still fighting against the demonic phoenix. The demonic phoenix had just dodged a few dozen whips when its body shook and flew up into the sky. The thousands of Xie Daoling smiled and spoke in unison. Your speed is quite good, and you're agile enough. I'll ask you again, are you willing to become our mount? The demonic phoenix spoke full of mockery. Shameless couple, you might have a lot of tricks up your sleeves, but you're still dreaming if you think you could defeat me. As soon as it said that, Gu Qingshan felt the air around her changing, only to see the smile on Xie Daoling's face slowly disappear. Has no one ever taught this monster how to speak? She muttered. Gu Qingshan silently mourned for the demonic phoenix, retracted her power fluctuations, and retreated. It's over. Shifu is angry. I need to stand a bit further away. Sure enough, right after that, Xie Daoling muttered to herself. That feather's color is quite nice. Originally, I didn't want to ruin its texture and feel, but it seems I was thinking too much. I need to first let it know what pain is. Invisible spirit energy fluctuations began to surge from her body. Seeing Xie Daoling's expression, Gu Qingshan hurriedly retreated a bit further away. Shifu didn't turn into a little girl, nor did she scout for information. She had truly entered a combat state and decided to deal a fatal blow to the demonic phoenix. It's best for me to stay a bit further away to avoid being affected by Shifu's anger. He wasn't worried about Xie Daoling's battle at all, so he continued to absorb the purified power of the 2 dragons while glancing at the War God UI. Countless information about her kills were displayed on the UI. Wait a minute. Gu Qingshan pointed at one of the combat records and asked, why did I need 2 million soul points just like that? The War God UI replied, because you used Earth's Choice to kill an extremely powerful monster's corpse. Why don't I remember that? Gu Qingshan doubtfully asked. You were in so much pain that you couldn't remember anything, the War God UI replied. Gu Qingshan carefully thought about it and found that it was true. 2 million soul points. He clicked his tongue, feeling a bit heartache. Fortunately, after killing that monster's corpse and a few other monsters, his soul points finally stabilized at around 4 million. The loss was still acceptable. A new line of glowing text suddenly appeared on the war god. UI, frowny face, you've grasped the thaumaturgy. Magic dragon transformation. As you are a human and have your own unique fighting style, the method you use to transform into the magic dragon is up to you. You've obtained the complete power of the Azure Dragon. Your thaumaturgy. Azure Dragon Shadow Hex. Binding has been further strengthened, becoming even harder to detect. You've fully absorbed the power of the duo dragons. Your power is as great as both the magic dragon and the Azure Dragon combined. According to the standards of humanity from the age of old, you have become a well-built young man. Once your cultivation reaches Sumeru Lord Realm, you may begin to learn the enemy-killing sword technique. Keep up the good work and continue to grow. After reading through everything, Gu Qing Shan sighed in relief. Enemy-killing sword technique. This was the strongest sword technique of the bygone era humanity, one that even Xie Guhong couldn't successfully learn. Unfortunately, I'll have to wait until I reach Sumeru Lord Realm. Gu Qingshan lowered her head and silently circulated the power inside her body. Boundless power flowed madly inside her body, ready to erupt like a volcano with a single thought. As Gu Qingshan sensed the changes in her body, she couldn't help but silently estimate the soul shrieker's strength. During the age of old, Gu Qingshan had once transformed into the indestructible giant to fight against both the magic dragon and the soul shrieker. With magic dragon strength, he shouldn't have been able to win against the soul shrieker. But with the power of the Azure Dragon, Gu Qingshan wouldn't be any weaker than the soul shrieker of that era. And now that the soul shrieker had successfully ascended, it had become even more powerful. Perhaps I still wouldn't be able to win against it, but I'm now qualified to fight. Gu Qingshan was full of fighting spirit. He turned to the battlefield. The demonic phoenix had been beaten to the ground, its wings covering its head, not daring to move. Xie Daoling wielded her lightning whip and struck the demonic phoenix's head with a sha. With a desperate shriek, the demonic phoenix's feathers all stood up. 3 Xie Daolings came forward and struck at the same time. Rumble, rumble. The lightning struck the demonic phoenix's body, causing the fragrance of meat to waft from its body. 10 Xie Daoling came forward and struck again. 20 Xie Daoling surrounded the several dozen meters long demonic phoenix and struck it. 30 Xie Daoling. Wait! The demonic phoenix breathed heavily. What are you trying to say? Xie Daoling casually asked. The demonic phoenix breathed heavily and shouted, You made me your mount. That's outrageous. 40 Xie Daoling came forward and raised her whip. The demonic phoenix continued, You've truly underestimated me. To be honest, not only can I help you move, I can also serve you tea, wash your clothes, cook your meals, even pill refinement, cooking, talisman crafting, and divination are top-notch. Just watch. I'm an unrivaled all-rounder mount. Xie Daoling paused briefly, but didn't strike it. The demonic phoenix sighed in relief and tried to flatter her. Madam, no, divinity, what are your orders? Xie Daoling thought for a bit and looked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan told her, We can go now. I've fully absorbed the power of the 2 dragons. Xie Daoling put her hand on the demonic phoenix's head and placed a few of the strictest seals on it. Where did the ghosts and revenants of this world come from? Xie Daoling asked it. The demonic phoenix replied, They were a bunch of bastards who couldn't survive in the upper realm and ended up at the foot of Mount Sumeru. Right now, they're scared shitless and ran back to the upper realm seeing that it answered well. Xie Daoling took out something and tossed it over. All right, since you're going to follow me from now on, I won't mistreat my own people. Take this and eat it. The demonic phoenix was under a restriction, so at this time, it had no choice but to swallow the thing in one gulp. It was sweet, soft and squishy. What kind of good stuff is this? It glanced at Xie Daoling, but didn't dare to ask too much. But since this thing came from such a powerful enemy, no, master, I don't even need to think to know that it must be good stuff. For some reason, the demonic phoenix felt a bit more gratitude and respect. Gu Qingshan silently sent her voice. Sure, Fu. What did you give it to eat? Candy, Xie Daoling replied. Candy. Candy. Just now, It was calling us an adulterous couple, and now it wants to get some really delicious pills? That's impossible, saying so. Xie Daoling walked up to the demonic phoenix's back. The demonic phoenix hurriedly crouched down and carefully caught Xie Daoling with its wings, afraid that she wouldn't be able to walk steadily. Looking at the demonic phoenix's flattering expression, Gu Qingshan sighed and muttered, coaxing it, but it won't leave. Pulling it away, the principles of humans aren't too far off when applied to monsters. He also stood on the demonic phoenix's back. I really have to say, although its fur was a bit charred from being whipped by lightning, it was still warm and soft. The demonic phoenix let out a clear cry, flapped its wings, and took to the sky, heading towards the clouds. This person wore heavy armor and held a long halberd in his hand. His face was hidden behind a golden visor and could not be seen. Gu Qingshan stood in front of Xie Daoling and shouted, "Who are you? Why did you ambush us? Why do you need to know?" The person slowly replied, "Since you've come to Mount Sumu, the only outcome for you is death." As Gu Qingshan was about to continue, she felt an unusual disturbance in her thoughts. See, the true Crimson Demon Spear. Gu Qingshan took out the true Crimson Demon Spear from her thoughts sea and silently hovered in the void of space. This demon spear had been bestowed with a new Mahesvara thaumaturgy, orange shadow. It was pointed straight at the person wearing heavy armor and holding a long halberd. It was longing to kill that person. Gu Qingshan thought of something and couldn't help but recall the orange shadow's ability. Evil Suppressor, Orange Shadow, Mahesvara thaumaturgy, can be upgraded. When you use this thaumaturgy, your long-handled weapon will gain the invisible effect, unable to be discovered by enemies weaker than you. Furthermore, this thaumaturgy can help you suppress all evil and forcefully convert them into origin power for the divine mountain of Sumer. Gu Qingshan then looked at the person in front of her. Sure enough, the person didn't notice and continued. "All right, you may go." He tapped the statue's head with his long halberd, giving off a clear sound. The four gates of the temple opened as countless armored soldiers rushed in, charging towards Gu Qingshan and Xie Daoling. Gu Qingshan glanced at Xie Daoling, only to see that her eyes were still closed, still in a state of deep meditation. "You're already shouting about killing me the moment we meet. Then you can all die." Gu Qingshan wielded the heaven sword and swung it forward. A white crescent sword phantom abruptly lit up, turning into a full moon that illuminated the entire temple. A series of shattering noises resounded. All the armors were cut apart by the sword phantom. The person wearing the armor was erased on the spot. The entire temple was empty. Only the person standing on top of the statue managed to block Gu Qingshan's attack and remained standing there unscathed. How unexpected. The person facing the tribulation this time is quite impressive. "I've underestimated you," he casually said. Gu Qingshan was surprised. "I didn't use any force at all just now." "Who exactly are you? Why did you attack us without any explanation?" he asked again. While asking, Gu Qingshan used a telekinesis hand seal to wrap her spirit energy around the true Crimson Demon Spear. With a flick of the hand seal, the demon spear was abruptly thrown forward. The person couldn't see the spear at all and continued to speak. "In Mount Sumu, with my esteemed status, how could I casually tell you this?" The true Crimson Demon Spear pierced through his chest. The power of Evil Suppressor activated. The person didn't even have time to utter a single word before he was shattered into countless fragments that scattered into the void of space. All of his power was broken by the divine mountain of Sumeru, then converted and absorbed. Gu Qingshan sighed and looked at the scattered fragments. "It seems your status needs to be improved a bit more." The true Crimson Demon Spear flew back into his hand. A line of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face, the divine mountain of Sumeru had obtained quite a bit of power from this battle. Please continue to work hard and borrow its power to further improve your Mahesvara thaumaturgy. Gu Qingshan was a bit confused and glanced at the war god UI. Other than this notification, the war god UI was completely empty without any other records. "Hey, I just fought a battle. Why don't I have any battle records? Are you broken?" Gu Qingshan asked. The war god UI replied, Firstly, the war god UI only records battles between people of similar strength or battles where the weak won against the strong. Your action of stepping on an ant just now could be considered killing, but not a battle. Secondly, I'm not broken. 400 soul points were silently deducted. Gu Shan was a bit surprised. He could sense that the soldiers who rushed into the palace just now were at least Paragon Realm cultivators. Quite a few of them had even reached Yama King Realm. And the one standing on top of the statue had most likely surpassed Yama King Realm. He should be a Mahasvara King or Realm cultivator. How is that considered stepping on an ant? Wait a minute, Gu Shan slowly realized. That's right, I've already grasped the power of 2 dragons. No matter if it's the magic dragon or the azure dragon, killing these guys is nothing more than child's play. Not to mention, I have the full power of these 2 dragons. When Shifu told me that I'm stronger than her and could protect her as she ascends Mount Sumeru, I still couldn't react in time. But now I finally understand that my strength has far surpassed the realm of Mahasvara King, perhaps even surpassing the realm of Sumeru Lord. Gu Shan facepalmed. This is like a poor person who suddenly became rich, thinking that they're finally rich enough to fix the holes in their clothes. Suddenly obtaining power, I haven't gotten used to it yet. Thinking that, Gu Shan's gaze fell onto the true Crimson Demon Spear in her hand. Thanks to the power of the Mahasvara Thaumaturgy, Orange Shadow, anyone weaker than me wouldn't be able to notice this spear. On Mount Sumu, there shouldn't be anyone stronger than me. At this point, Xie Daoling opened her eyes and said, Qing Shan, the one you just killed was the Vijayanagara king. What? Why does he look so different from the statue? Gu Shan was surprised. The statue was his Dharma body. He was killed by you before he could reveal his Dharma body, Xie Daoling replied. What exactly did he do? Originally, on this Mount Sumeru, every generation of the Vijayanagara king would guard the side of the mountain, dispel all evil and outer lust demons, as well as receive the cultivators that come here. Gu Shan said, Doesn't seem like he's here to receive us, Xie Daoling slowly explained. The Divine Mountain holds a great secret, a secret that is closely related to all of us cultivators. We need to quickly ascend the mountain to find out everything. At this point, the 2 of them both turned to the demonic phoenix. Why didn't you react at all just now? Gu Shan was surprised. The demonic phoenix couldn't help but tremble, but forced a flattering smile. Gu Qing, no, Grandpa Shan, you were too fierce just now. I was a bit scared. Chapter 1208. Inside the temple, the stench of blood was extremely thick. Gu Shan looked at Xie Daoling, only to see that she didn't notice anything and seemed to be thinking about something else. Let's go. This is only the middle of the mountain. We need to go through this world and continue to the upper world, Xie Daoling said. The demonic phoenix flew over and crouched in front of them. This lowly one knows the way. I'll take you up now. The demonic phoenix carried the 2 of them out of the temple and continued to climb higher into the sky. Gu Shan looked down at the ground. This world was vast and boundless, with numerous buildings scattered all over the mountains and rivers, but there wasn't a single living person in sight. Let me ask you, why is this world so empty? Other than those azuras just now, there's nothing else. Gu Shan asked. While flying, the demonic phoenix answered. The worlds on Mount Sumeru are connected. Perhaps those people have gone to other worlds. Gu Shan nodded and didn't ask anything else. He and Xie Daoling exchanged glances. I feel like something isn't right. It's nothing, Gu Shan told him. Got it, Xie Daoling replied. The demonic phoenix flapped its wings with all its might and continued to climb higher into the sky. After flying for less than a quarter of an hour, the demonic phoenix penetrated the highest layer of thin clouds and stopped on a hanging branch. Master, Grandpa Shan, if we go up this branch, we'll arrive at the upper world, it reported. Let's go, Gu Shan said. The demonic phoenix nodded and flew up the branch. It left a layer of clouds behind it. Everything around them was a dark void of space. Following the phoenix's flight, the void of space slowly turned from dark to bright, finally turning into a clear azure sky. Gu Shan suddenly said, Sure, Fu, my power seems to be being suppressed. Siet Daoling looked up and said, It's probably that thing. Not too far away from the two of them, a clear azure crystal seal was hovering in the air, completely motionless. Invisible power fluctuations were emanating from the seal. All non-cultivation type powers have been sealed by this seal. Most likely it's suppressing the power of the two dragons inside your body. Siet Daoling narrowed her eyes and muttered in a low voice. Why do I feel like this is a trap? I also have that feeling, Gu Qingshan said. At this moment, the demonic phoenix stopped flapping its wings and remained motionless in the air. In front of them, the divine beast Qilin appeared once again. Qilin stared at Gu Qingshan and let out a mighty and majestic voice. Cultivator, the power of the dragon race in your body must be sealed. Otherwise, you will not be able to pass this heavenly tribulation. Gu Qingshan asked curiously, Why? This power clearly belongs to me. So why can't I use it? The Qilin said, Because the heavenly tribulation tests the power of a cultivator. The power of the dragon race does not belong to a cultivator. If you keep carrying this power, the laws of the heavenly tribulation will not recognize you. When Gu Qingshan was about to say something, Siet Daoling stopped her. That's not the case. Let's continue, Siet Daoling casually said. Hearing her say that, the divine beast Qilin said, Don't blame me for not reminding you. If you bring a power other than that of a cultivator to the top of the mountain, it would be considered as a shortcut, and you would not be able to truly break through shortcut. Siet Daoling's expression turned cold. A faint sense of anger appeared on her body. My disciple journeyed to the distant ancient times and went through untold hardships. He did not hesitate to bear the power of the demon dragon with his own body and accomplish something that no one had ever done before. Only then did he manage to slay a demon dragon. Although I'm not clear about what happened to the Azure Dragon after that, how many people in the entire universe can rely on their weak strength to kill an Azure Dragon that is dozens of times stronger than them? Not only that, to absorb the power of the two dragons, how much suffering did he have to endure that far exceeds what a normal person can imagine? If that kind of suffering was placed on you, the Qilin, you would have already gone mad. My disciple Qingshan did what others could not do. He plotted a way to survive in desperate straits, killed enemies that were several dozen times stronger than himself, and endured pain that no living being should be able to endure to obtain such power. You dare say that this was a shortcut? Siet Daoling coldly scoffed and continued. Cultivators steal the fortune of heaven and earth, enduring countless tribulations for their entire lives, the same as rowing a boat against the current. My disciple had done so many unimaginable things to reach such a level of power, and yet you say that it was a shortcut? Qilin, I want to ask what kind of law thinks that my disciple isn't worthy of such power, and what kind of law dares to stop my disciple from breaking through? Come, explain it to me. If you can't give me a reasonable explanation, I, Siet Daoling, will make that so-called law disappear from the infinite worlds. The divine beast Qilin was speechless. It couldn't even say a single word. Siet Daoling scoffed and continued. Facing the tribulation is a small matter. I only came here to take a look. Do you really think I came here to face the tribulation to beg you? That's why. Don't force my disciple Qingshan any further, otherwise I won't face this tribulation and will tear this lazuli seal apart. Saying so, a cluster of bright yellow light appeared in Siet Daoling's hand. The Qilin looked at the light, took a step back, and spoke in a low voice. You will regret this. It disappeared from where it stood. At the same time, the demonic phoenix also disappeared from beneath their feet. Its unbridled laughter resounded across the sky. Ah, phoenixes are a race that can be reborn after everything is destroyed by fire. How laughable that you think a lock seal can control me. Large numbers of living beings appeared in the lazuli world. Phoenixes, countless phoenixes. They were circling around Gu Qingshan and Siet Daoling, ready to attack at any moment. Outside of the phoenixes, numerous Azuras gathered from every direction, forming a large formation to surround them. They wore armor and weapons in their hands. All of them had expressions of eagerness on their faces. Currently, Gu Shan couldn't use any power other than that of a cultivator. Although Xie Dao Ling was strong, she still hadn't faced the tribulation, so she wasn't any stronger than a Sumeru lord. Against so many phoenixes and the Azura army, the two of them seemed to have no choice but to fight. The battle unfolded in the blink of an eye. Thousands of phoenixes spat out flames at the same time. The Azuras all unleashed their offensive techniques. For a brief moment, colorful light filled the entire sky. As Xie Dao Ling was about to form a hand seal, Gu Shan called her back. "Sure, Fu, we've agreed before. I'm your bodyguard." After saying so, he drew the heaven sword. The sound of countless sword phantoms clashing resounded across the sky. A sea of flames swept across the entire area. Divine skill. Parting flame. This sword was the sword of destruction, specialized in cutting through all techniques. But Gu Shan didn't stop there and added a Heaven's Choice combo of 9 strikes. Sword of Parting Flame. The sea of flames instantly spread and turned the lazuli world into a sea of flames. The techniques of the phoenixes and azuras were all cut down, unable to be unleashed again. At the very next moment, the sea of flames disappeared. The entire world was sealed in ice, unable to move a single inch. Divine skill, Frost Edge. Frost Edge, capable of freezing the bodies of all living beings. This was a divine skill of the Sword of Destruction. It was also the power of Heaven's Choice that allowed this divine skill to reach the power of 10 rounds. At this point, Gu Shan released her inner sight to observe all the phoenixes and azuras and said, "If my Shifu has said that she wants all of you to vanish, then vanish now." A thought came from his body, like an invisible shadow that obscured the entire world. -10 rounds of divine skill, Mind Sword, Sun Moon Eclipse. After this strike, all living beings in this lazuli world were destroyed without a single trace of life left. The strange thing was that the dead phoenixes and azuras had all turned into pale, transparent bodies. Their expressions had become extremely ferocious. Their bodies were trembling uncontrollably as if they were in some sort of abnormal state. "They aren't souls, Shifu. Have you seen such a thing before?" Gu Shan glanced over and immediately asked. Xie Dao Ling observed for a while and replied, "They seem to be the bodies of evil spirits from the Wraith Realm. It is said that some living beings don't enter Huang Quan after death, but instead directly become evil spirits due to their immense karma and fall into the Wraith Realm." A round of applause resounded from the void of space. Wonderful, truly wonderful, dozens of figures appeared in the sky. They were wearing cultivator attire and Yikshan masks. Looking down at Gu Shan and Xie Dao Ling, Gu Shan's eyelids twitched. Yikshan masks. So they're from the Wraith Realm. One of them waved his hand, took the lazuli seal into his hand, and slowly played with it. "Tisk, it's fortunate that we used the parallel world technique to temporarily stay in another world. Otherwise that strike would have killed us as well," the man mocked her. Gu Shan stood in front of Xie Dao Ling and shouted, "You're a member of the Wraith Realm?" The man lazily replied, "That's right. The azure dragon you killed was my servant," he sighed. Then continued, "Now that I think about it, you've killed 2 of my servants and destroyed my private plot of land. What do you think I'm going to do to you now?" Following his words, their figures slowly became solid. They had arrived in this world. The man looked at the true crimson demon spear next to Gu Shan with a look of admiration. Originally, this spear should have been sealed like the power of the 2 dragons. Unfortunately, it was infused with the power of the Divine Mountain, so my seal couldn't seal it. But that doesn't matter. You're already going to die in my hands. The cultivators around him quickly formed a hand seal. The azuras and phoenixes that were killed by Gu Shan all manifested their souls from the void of space and flew towards the people of the Wraith Realm. The souls fused into one and uttered millions of screams of pain and agony. Gu Shan didn't act and simply nodded. "From the looks of it, the Divine Mountain of Sumeru's destruction was most likely your doing," the man chuckled. "So what if it was? To deal with you, I prepared millions of living beings and turned them into evil spirits. That way, they wouldn't be suppressed by a Huang Quan devil king like you at this point. The cultivators around him shouted, "Sir." The man then formed a hand seal and casually said, "That's all I have to say. Please die." An immense pressure of magic emanated from the man's body. Wraith Realm, 9 Serenity's divine skill. Dark Wraith King's life-stripping technique. Gu Shan still didn't draw her sword. He just sighed inwardly. Just now, while they were talking, Luo Bingley was conversing with him inside his thoughts. "See, it's fine, I've already understood. A battle is a battle. There's no need for so many excuses," she said. Gu Shan, after the apocalypse is over, it won't be too late for me to rest. As for now, as a sword spirit, I've taken the initiative to throw myself in a battle, so it doesn't count as you going against your oath, Gu Shan replied. "I understand. I owe you this time." Luo Bingley smiled and muttered, "A sword spirit and a sword cultivator live and die together. There's no need to say I owe you anything. Come, let's fight together." Gu Shan finally swung the heaven sword. Right before the Wraith divine skill was about to be activated, she lightly unleashed a sword phantom. This strike was neither too early nor too late, but it was extremely fast. It was neither too powerful nor too weak, but extremely accurate. The sword phantom flashed like lightning and struck the fused body of millions of souls. Heaven's sword thaumaturgy, chaotic flow. Instantly, the fused body abruptly scattered. All the evil spirits returned to where they died, regaining their flesh and blood bodies, as well as their hair. The Azuras once again donned armor and weapons in their hands. However, all living beings were still sealed in ice, unable to move at all. Both the Azuras and the Phoenixes had returned to their original state when they were struck by Frost Edge. This way, the so-called evil spirit fusion body no longer existed. The Wraith Realm's 9 Serenity's divine skill naturally lost its ability to be unleashed. The divine skill couldn't be unleashed anymore. Such an unbelievable scene caused the Wraiths who had conquered countless parallel worlds to become speechless. The leader of the Wraiths went silent, then asked with a hoarse voice, "What kind of sword is that?" Gu Shan looked at him and calmly replied, "I'm not telling you. You think too highly of yourself." The Wraith scoffed. His presence became heavy. His hands quickly formed a hand seal. He was getting serious. The Wraiths around him also began to form hand seals. Gu Shan didn't move, didn't draw her sword, and didn't stop them. As the Wraith's hand seal was quickly completed, the fear in his heart finally dissipated and spoke with a mocking tone. "Fool, you missed your only chance at survival. Now you're going to die as well." Gu Shan shook her head and didn't say anything. He stepped aside. Behind him, Xie Daoling had already returned to her true form and had been forming hand seals for a while now. This hand seal required several dozen hand seals to complete, so it was extremely difficult to use in battle. Fortunately, Gu Shan fought with everything she had this time to buy enough time for Xie Daoling. After forming the final hand seal, Xie Daoling finally let go. She looked at the Wraiths and casually said, "Your Wraith realm isn't the only one with a specialized Samsara divine skill." Instantly, everything around them changed. A faint yellow light traversed through the infinite space-time, arriving from an extremely distant world. The Lazuli world was slowly being shrouded in fog. From the depths of the fog, a vast river could be faintly seen stretching across the horizon. The river was silent and unmoving, with no end in sight. A small boat slowly approached from the depths of the river. A graceful woman could be seen standing at the bow of the boat, lightly rowing the oars. Chapter 1209. Gu Shan stepped aside to reveal Xie Daoling, who had just finished using her divine skill. The entire world was instantly enveloped in a faint yellow glow. The vast river, the faint silhouette of a lone boat, as well as the silhouette of a slender woman, slowly appeared. The Wraith leader glanced over and exclaimed in shock, "Oh no, this is a divine skill of the Huang Quan Great World. Everyone, quickly use that technique. He tossed out a circular, icy, glazed mirror. The wraiths all chanted a mantra and quickly formed a hand seal. A slender silhouette rose from their bodies and reached out to grab the mirror. The wraiths all shouted in unison, "With my vitality, I will resist the samsara technique descend." Streams of life force flew out from the top of their heads and rushed into the illusory figure. After obtaining so much powerful and abundant life force, the illusory figure gradually solidified and revealed its true appearance. It was a woman wearing a 5-color dress. The woman's expression was expressionless as she pointed the mirror at the forgetting river in the sky. Boundless lazuli divine light erupted from the mirror and reflected on the forgetting river. The forgetting river, the lone boat, and the slender woman all froze in the sky, unable to descend. The samsara divine skill, the forgetting river, was stopped in midair by the wraith's combined technique. Gu Qingshan and Xie Daoling were both stunned. Xie Daoling tilted her head and asked, "Qingshan, you've traveled the infinite worlds. Have you ever seen a technique being stopped by another technique?" Gu Qingshan shook her head. "I've never heard of such a thing, nor have I ever seen it. Where's Shifu?" Xie Daoling replied, "I've never heard of such a thing either." She suddenly froze for a split second. "I remember now, this seems to be an immortal craft. Thousand-ruler mirror. An immortal craft?" Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask. "Yes, the heaven realm is the highest of the samsara. So an immortal craft is a divine skill of the heaven realm," Xie Daoling muttered and fell into thought. Gu Qingshan also couldn't help but recall the past. During the Battle of Huangquan, I once met the heaven realm's heavenly god. That was the first time I saw a technique like time stop. However, the heavenly god didn't seem to be a true being of the 6 paths of reincarnation. Instead, he was a descendant of the gods from the inner world. In other words, my home world was a samsara of the 6 paths of reincarnation evolved from the Huangquan world fragment. Among them, only the path of Huangquan contained the true living beings of the 6 paths. The other paths, such as the human world, were the reincarnated living beings of the path of Huangquan, as well as the 9 mansions of starlight that escaped from the inner world's starlight empire. All the wraiths unleashed that immortal technique with all their might, freezing the river of forgetfulness in the void and preventing it from falling. The only one who could move was their master, the wraith leader. He took out a pair of pitch-black metal gloves, put them on, and slowly walked towards Gu Qingshan and Xie Daoling. It's a divine skill from the Yellow Springs Great Realm. Even though I set up a trap in advance and successfully restricted the power of the twin dragons, it seems that I have still underestimated you. His body exuded a monstrous killing intent. Gu Qingshan recalled the sleeping heaven sword in her thoughts sea, holding the earth sword in one hand and the Chao Yin sword in the other. He did not say anything more and disappeared in an instant. Charge forward and slash. Countless black sword shadows slashed at the man's body, producing clanking sounds. Secret art, drawn shadow. With only one strike, Gu Qingshan immediately retreated. The man was clearly standing still, using both his hands and his armor to block the sword phantoms. But 7 afterimages flew out from his body and chased after Gu Qingshan. The 7 afterimages surrounded Gu Qingshan. Their iron fists were like a wall that pressed down on Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan's swords clasped together, unleashing a gigantic sword phantom. Secret art, river traversing iron sword. The sword shadows pierced through the densely packed iron fists and exploded with a loud bang. Gu Qingshan retreated, wielded her sword, and looked at the wraith. But the wraith was still standing there, not moving a single inch. The wraith spoke. "This is your swordsmanship? How laughable! You can't even stop a few of my afterimages, yet you dare to fight me." Gu Qingshan looked down at herself. Blood was still oozing out of the dozens of wounds left by the sword. "This is my sword. Why?" Gu Qingshan squinted her eyes and looked at the other party. Shifu. Each of their Yiksha masks contain a unique power known as the Guy's Hex. I'm guessing that was the power of his guy's hex just now. Its effect was to use my sword phantoms to create afterimages, while he used the afterimages to attack and return my sword phantoms to me. Gu Qing carefully told her. Xie Daoling pondered for a bit and said, "It seems his guy's hex specifically counters cultivators who use cold weapons." The Wraith smiled and praised. "Good eyes. I heard that the Huang Quan Devil King is an expert swordsman, so I specifically chose this mask to kill him." The Wraith made a stance with his fists and slowly spoke. "Devil King, you were the one who attacked yourself just now. I hadn't even truly attacked yet." A deathly white glow emanated from his body, focusing on the pair of iron gauntlets on his body. Heaven and earth began to tremble. The Wraith spoke. "Before you die, you've earned the right to hear my name. Remember well, the one who killed you is Tsang Wu Zhang of the Wraith Realm." Xie Daoling patted Gu Qingshan's shoulder and said, "Sword techniques are useless against him. I'll deal with him. You think of a way to dispel that immortal craft." Gu Qingshan looked at the mirror-wielding fairy in the sky. "Got it." He uttered a single word and vanished. Tsang Wu Zhang smirked. "Don't even think about it." His figure flashed and retreated in front of the wraiths to stop Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan suddenly switched to Xie Daoling. Shadow shift. Xie Daoling threw a punch without hesitation. Divine skill, Skyfall. Bam! With a resounding sound, the two figures split apart and retreated in different directions. 7 afterimages appeared out of nowhere, quickly catching up to Xie Daoling and unleashing a barrage of punches. So it wasn't just cold weapons. Even fist techniques were countered by this guy's hex. A mere Yiksha mask was already this powerful. And what kind of unimaginable world is the Wraith Realm? Tsang Wu Zhang stopped and chased after her. "Die!" He smirked. Gu Qingshan stood where Xie Daoling originally was, saw this, and immediately activated War God title. Starflame War God title skill. Conquer. Tsang Wu Zhang instantly turned around and charged towards Gu Qingshan. He laughed maniacally. "Devil King, I've decided to kill you in front of your Shifu. This will definitely bring her endless pain." Ah! Shaboom! A lightning whip lashed at him. Tsang Wu Zhang abruptly retreated. Xie Daoling stood in front of Gu Qingshan and whispered, "Be careful. Other than those 7 shadows, he also has another technique on him that most likely causes the attacker to receive the same amount of damage." Gu Qingshan's heart sank. This Tsang Wu Zhang is quite the sly one. The first time I probed him, he didn't use this defensive technique. The guy's hex can transform an opponent's attack. And there's also another technique that can cause the same amount of damage. He's only thinking of a way to stop the Forgetting River, Gu Qingshan replied. Any other methods would be useless against him, Xie Daoling replied. Even if Tsang Wu Zhang was hit, his enemy would also receive the same amount of damage, and any other attacks will be transformed into 7 shadows to continue chasing after the attacker. Wouldn't that be the same as a porcupine that can't be attacked at all? Gu Qingshan and Xie Daoling exchanged glances. Gu Qingshan retreated. Xie Daoling took a step forward. Then, more and more of her appeared in the sky. Thousands of clones. Countless Xie Daoling blocked out the sky, all of them forming hand seals to unleash elemental techniques. Metal technique, coiling dragon. Streaks of sharp metal chi manifested as dragons that flew towards Tsang Wu Zhang. Tsang Wu Zhang retreated in front of the wraiths, his gauntlets manifesting numerous sharp spikes of light. Clone's techniques are so weak, yet you dare to use them to test me? He threw a punch in the air. Bam! The entire void of space was pierced through, revealing the darkness of nothingness. The darkness spread with unstoppable momentum, devouring the dragons one by one. Taking advantage of this, countless Xie Daoling drew their whips and swung them. Sha! Rumble, rumble. Lightning flashed across the sky and struck Tsang Wu Zhang's body. Tsang Wu Zhang immediately froze. But at the same time, all the Xie Daolings fell into dream jolt. Even their thaumaturgy was reflected. Xie Daoling suddenly appeared in front of Tsang Wu Zhang. She threw her whip away and exchanged several hundred punches with Tsang Wu Zhang. Song Wuzhang's fist technique was powerful, while Xie Daoling's fist technique was light and nimble, so the battle slowly fell into a stalemate. But very quickly, every time Song Wuzhang attacked, 7 shadows would appear to help him attack Xie Daoling. In just a few breaths worth of time, several hundred shadows had attacked at the same time as Song Wuzhang. Xie Daoling couldn't hold on any longer and was sent flying by a single punch from Song Wuzhang. Song Wuzhang smirked. "It seems I can already sense despair from all of you far away in the sky." Xie Daoling was being supported by Gu Qingshan as she coughed up some blood. "It's still too early to tell who will be the final victor," she casually said and opened the item in her hand. The Azure Crystal Seal. Song Wuzhang's Azure Crystal Seal. So the reason why Xie Daoling risked her injuries to fight him just now was to steal this seal. It was this seal that sealed Gu Qingshan's duo dragon power. Song Wuzhang checked his body. Sure enough, the seal was already gone. "You," he pointed at Xie Daoling in shock and anger, unable to say anything. Such a beauty, such a great cultivator who wields a Huang Quan divine skill, would know such a miraculous thieving technique. Who would have thought? Xie Daoling tossed the azure crystal seal behind her, only to see a sword slashing through the air. The seal instantly crumbled to dust. Invisible fluctuations began to spread from Gu Qingshan's body. The restraints on him had been released. Xie Daoling looked at Song Wuzhang and casually said, "You set up a trap here in advance to seal off Qingshan's duo dragon power. We assumed that this was because Qingshan's duo dragon power happened to be able to deal with you." Gu Qingshan followed up. "Otherwise, why would you do such an unnecessary thing?" Boundless black smoke drifted from his body. The black dragon slowly manifested. Roar! A giant black dragon flew straight through the sky, biting towards the wraith Song Wuzhang. Chapter 12:10. The black dragon was as dark as ink, flying through the sky at full speed. Song Wuzhang donned a set of heavy armor and a pair of gauntlets to receive the black dragon. "It's just a dragon," he shouted and performed the most powerful strike of his fist technique. The storm of punches struck the black dragon and sent it flying. The black dragon shook its head in midair, then abruptly turned around and breathed out a jet of alternating black and blue flames. In that split second, Song Wuzhang's expression changed and quickly formed a hand seal with both hands. The hand seal was formed. Wraith Wind. A violent tornado manifested out of nowhere and enveloped Song Wuzhang. The flames struck the tornado and exploded into a shower of sparks that scattered like a shower of stars. Song Wuzhang sighed in relief and once again assumed a stance. To be able to execute such a technique in a split second, even he was a bit impressed. "Come, don't think that just because you can breathe dragon flames, you're actually a dragon," he shouted. The black dragon looked at him and spoke in a thunderous voice. "I'm going to correct you. You did quite well, but that was only my saliva. Also, I finally know why you sealed my dragon clan's power in advance. Because when I transform into a dragon, even if you can make me suffer your own attacks, I can still endure them many times over, while you wouldn't be able to endure even a single attack." Saying so, the black dragon smirked. Xie Daoling scowled. "Qingshan, you've only refined your power not too long ago. Be careful not to be affected by the dragon's overwhelming power." "Yes, Shifu." The black dragon instantly stopped smirking. He charged towards Song Wuzhang again. Sure enough, Song Wuzhang was only avoiding the black dragon, no longer daring to clash head-on with the black dragon like before. Indeed, he could make the other party suffer the same injuries as he did. But the slumbering magic dragon's strongest attribute was its body. A cultivator's body was still far too lacking in endurance compared to it. Not to mention, it wasn't just the slumbering magic dragon. There was also the power of another dragon, the Azure Dragon. The Azure Dragon entered the Wraith realm by coincidence, then took orders from Song Wuzhang in order to accomplish his goal. The fact that it was able to play a huge role in the battle against the Abyss showed how powerful it was. The black dragon chased after Song Wuzhang, rampaging through the sky, exhaling clouds of smoke as he attempted to use the power of the dragon race against Song Wuzhong. He gradually adapted to fighting as a dragon. The pressure on Song Wuzhong was getting heavier and heavier. He sent out a sky full of fist shadows, but he couldn't hurt the black dragon at all. At most, he could delay the black dragon's attack. "You forced my hand," Song Wuzhong angrily shouted. He took out magic treasures one after another, activated them all, and threw them at the black dragon. The black dragon shook its body and spat out dragon flames in an attempt to nullify the attacks of these magic treasures. "Naive," Song Wuzhong scoffed. Boom, 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 boom. The treasure artifact was detonated by Song Wuzhong as soon as it attacked, causing the entire Lazuli world to tremble. Although this kind of attack, which completely abandoned magic treasures, could only be released once, its power was truly a headache. Moreover, the shield was too small. Compared to the dragon's entire body, it could not defend at all, so the black dragon finally became more cautious. While evading the treasure artifact's attacks, he was also looking for Song Wuzhang's weakness. On the other side, after watching for a while, Xiet Daoling suddenly turned to the wraiths and muttered, "Although I don't know how to break this immortal craft, as long as I kill these people, the immortal craft will naturally be dispelled." Hearing that, Song Wuzhong panicked. Seeing his weakness, the black dragon swung its dragon claw from afar. A sharp afterimage tore through the sky and directly struck Song Wuzhang's body, giving off the sound of metal striking metal. Song Wuzhong was sent flying. "Good armor," the black dragon praised. It was fortunate that this armor was a top-notch item from the Wraith realm that it managed to stop the black dragon's attack. However, the deep marks on the armor made it doubtful how many more attacks the black dragon would be able to stop. The black dragon naturally received the same attack, but such an attack wasn't much to him, so he could easily endure it. Song Wuzhong quickly retreated and assumed his stance again. He couldn't help but split his attention to pay attention to both the black dragon and Xie Daoling at the same time. Indeed, there was still a great forgetting river floating in the sky. Although he could still fight against the black dragon for a while with his many treasures and treasures, if that river were to fall, he would lose his life. Xie Daoling's simple words struck right at his vitals. Among the wraiths who insisted on using their immortal craft, one of them suddenly shouted, "Sir, they're purposely trying to distract you. Don't fall for it." How could Song Wuzhong not know this? But how could he ignore Xie Daoling's actions? This is definitely not a solution. Song Wuzhong clenched his teeth and took out a talisman surrounded in blue light from his chest pocket. "The two of you, master and disciple, should be proud of yourself for being able to force me to this point," Song Wuzhong declared. For some reason, his tone carried a hint of reluctance. A second later, the talisman was activated. Suddenly, a magnificent green light descended from the sky and landed on his body. Song Wuzhang's voice sounded from behind the Iksham mask. The reason why the Azure Dragon was able to travel between numerous camps without being injured was because he had a thaumaturgy that allowed him to leap through the void of space. However, that thaumaturgy cannot be used to attack. The blue glow around Song Wuzhang's body intensified as his killing intent intensified. He infused all of his power into the gauntlet and gritted his teeth. Fortunately, this talisman of mine is stronger than the Azure Dragon's thaumaturgy. It can attack while moving through space. Today, I'm going to slay a dragon. Before he could finish his words, an abrupt change occurred. Song Wuzhong turned into an almost undetectable blurred figure, circling around the black dragon and attacking him. His speed was so fast that the black dragon couldn't react in time and could only passively take his attacks. A few moments later, the black dragon struggled to move his body and spat up some blood. This time, it was Xie Daoling's turn to be anxious. She charged towards the wraiths without hesitation. Song Wuzhong had been paying attention to her, so as soon as she moved, Song Wuzhong also moved. "Damned woman, you dare to use a Huang Quan divine skill to threaten me. I'm going to kill you." He roared and charged forward with intense killing intent. Seeing that this wraith leader was going to kill his Shifu, The black dragon immediately reacted. Pah! The black dragon spat up some blood again. His presence skyrocketed as he roared. You forced my hand. He stared at the blurred figure that was quickly flying towards Xie Daoling, then started chanting at a speed that no one could react to. Yo, this is the first time I've ever rapped because there wasn't enough time. The situation was too urgent. Although I'm nervous, although I'm not familiar with the language, I had no choice but to speed up my chanting to shock everyone. Everyone needs to listen to me. Being fast doesn't mean you're strong. If you have the guts, then come at me. What kind of hero are you to bully my Shifu? A real man doesn't look for a woman in a fight. If you have the guts, then come at me head-on, you Wraith's way of doing things. You're either a trap or a bunch of other people throwing their treasures nonstop. Do you think I'm afraid of you? In the end, you'd still have to stick a talisman on yourself. What's the difference between that and taking drugs? Lines of glowing text scrolled past the War God UI. Frowny face, you've activated the thaumaturgy. Azure Dragon Shadow Hex. Binding. You've used unparalleled speed to perform this thaumaturgy. Wraith. Song Wuzhang's movement speed and attack speed have both been reduced by 10%. Enough. The black dragon's gaze turned sharp. Divine skill, Shadow Shift. Instantly, he switched places with Xie Daoling Roar. He spat out a blue-black dragon flame that struck Song Wuzhang, who had just arrived in front of Xie Daoling. Song Wuzhang was drenched in it, unable to dodge. Chapter 12:11. As the dark green flames struck Song Wuzhang's body, they immediately burst into flames. Embark! Song Wuzhang uttered a brief scream of pain. Gu Qingshan didn't stop there and swung her dragon claws. Clang, clang, clang. Sharp cuts appeared all over Song Wuzhang's armor. The armor was now riddled with holes, as if it would be destroyed at the very next second. Song Wuzhang immediately regained his senses. This was a moment of life and death. Without hesitation, he clasped his hands together and formed a hand seal at the fastest speed he had ever formed in his life. Talisman technique, abomination substitution, the blue glow, dragon flames, and wounds on Song Wuzhang's body all disappeared. He had returned to his peak state and roared in a grudgeful voice. Huang Quan Devil King, I'll remember you. I'll definitely bring an army next time. Just you wait. At the very next moment, a crack appeared in the void of space. Song Wuzhang fell into the void of flames and vanished without a trace. How is that possible? Gu Qingshan was shocked. All of a sudden, a series of desperate screams resounded from afar. The dozen wraiths that were fighting against the Forgetting River were now completely engulfed in dragon flames, burning intensely. They had taken Song Wuzhang's place to endure Gu Qingshan's attacks. As the wraiths were burned by the dragon flames and swept away by the dragon claws, they didn't even manage to utter a single sound before vanishing from this world. Did he really run away? Gu Qingshan released her immense inner sight to scan through the lazuli world. She replied, "No need to look any further. He used a Wraith Realm death substitution technique just now, so he's already returned to his original world." Both of them felt a bit regretful. The other party reacted too quickly, or rather, the other party's life-saving technique was too unexpected. She thought for a bit, then continued. This death substitution talisman technique requires a unique curse to be infused into the talisman, then placed it inside the cultivator's thought sea and refined it into a life artifact, allowing it to be activated at any time. Gu Qingshan sighed. Using someone else to die in their place. The Wraith Realm's techniques have truly opened my eyes. Immortal Craft, Mask Hex, Death Substitution Talisman. The Wraith Realm's methods were truly endless. Xie Daoling had already let go of this matter. She looked up at the black dragon in the sky and laughed. Qingshan, the speed at which you spoke just now was beyond my expectations. Speaking of speed, Gu Qingshan was a little embarrassed. As the black fog scattered, he turned back into human form and landed next to Xie Daoling. That was one of the Azure Dragon's thaumaturgies that I accidentally obtained. Shifu, I also know that this curse is a bit embarrassing. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't use this method to fight, Gu Qingshan explained. Recalling what happened just now, Xie Daoling couldn't help but smirk and said, "Just look, The Wraith Realm's Guy's Hex is extremely powerful. Not to mention that the Wraiths can use the dead souls of Asuras and Phoenixes to perform powerful hex techniques. Even when escaping, they can use other people's lives to fuel their techniques, so they're extremely difficult to deal with. What are you trying to say, Sherfu? Qing Shan, when it comes to various abilities, you can't let your emotions affect your decisions. Against a powerful enemy, you must calmly choose the most suitable method to fight. If this curse is so useful, you don't need to specifically target it from now on. Use it when you need to, Gu Qing Shan replied. This disciple has learned her lesson. This disciple will definitely train this skill more from now on. Xie Daoling tried her best to keep a straight face and nodded. That's right. This is the style of our Baihua sect. In truth, this lesson was very reasonable, not wrong at all. A cultivator must consider all of their means and find the most reliable way to resolve a problem. That Azure Dragon Shadow Hex was formless and unpredictable, making it impossible to defend against, so it could be considered an excellent support hex in battle. However, Xie Daoling recalled how Gu Qing Shan turned into a dragon and tried her best to spit out those words, but still couldn't control her expression. She suddenly blanked out for a bit and slowly said, I remember now. The power of the dragon race mostly relies on Drakatong, and Drakatong seems to be able to produce various effects that are very difficult to defend against, so you must be careful if you run into other dragons from now on. Gu Qing Shan helplessly shrugged. Careful? If that's the case, the other dragons are also fighting the same way I did just now? In other words, if I were to fight against a dragon, then 2 dragons circling in the sky, fighting and rapping? That scene is too beautiful. Gu Qing Shan silently swore that the next time I fight against a dragon, I'll use my trump card right from the start without giving them a chance to speak. This is the correct way to deal with dragons. At this point, the two of them suddenly sensed something and looked up at the sky. The mirror-wielding fairy maiden slowly turned faint and disappeared from the sky. Xie Daoling waved her hand to call the mirror back. An item from the heaven realm. Who would have thought it would fall into the hands of the wraiths? She muttered. During this battle, Cang Wuzhong only managed to escape with his body and return to the wraith realm. All the wraiths were killed. The immortal craft, Thousand Mirror Ruler, was also destroyed. The Forgetting River technique still fell in the end. The lone skiff was drifting in the middle of the river, slowly approaching this place. The graceful woman sat at the bow of the skiff, her figure shrouded in mist as she lightly sang. The road to Huang Quan. The river is long. Even if you wish for 3 lifetimes, the forgetting river will never return. Xie Daoling's expression turned serious and clasped her fist towards the skiff. Everything has been settled this time. I made you come here for nothing. Please forgive me, the woman replied. It's fine. It's better that I don't show up. It's better that I don't act than to act. She suddenly turned to Gu Qing Shan and asked, Huang Quan Devil King, what do you plan to do next? Gu Qing Shan was a bit confused, but also understood a bit, so she replied, I need to face my tribulation first, then kill a few people. If I have the chance later, I'll definitely think of a way to fight against the Wraith Realm. Why is that? The woman asked. I've seen a fragment of the Huang Quan world. Gu Qing Shan appeared nostalgic and said, there were a few demons in that world that I had a good relationship with, but that world fragment was used by the Wraith Realm as a prison to imprison those who opposed them. Not to mention, the Wraith Realm had already invaded my place and repeatedly tried to harm the people around me, so I'll have to face them sooner or later to put an end to this. The woman went silent for a bit, then asked, You've seen the Wraith Realm? Then what about the Tomb of Myriad Beasts? Gu Qing Shan shook her head. The woman asked again, the Azura era of eternal war? Gu Qing Shan still shook her head. The woman continued, the Heavenly Palace? Gu Qing Shan could only continue to shake her head. The woman looked at Xie Daoling, then at Gu Qing Shan. 2 pitiful people, she sighed. Gu Qing Shan thought of something. Pitiful? No, the tone, context, and meaning of this statement are completely different from the monster I saw at the giant corpse. From the looks of it, the two of them weren't talking about the same thing. Gu Qing Shan felt a bit dejected, but still asked, You and I are both from Huang Quan. Why are you speaking to me with such a pitiful tone? Because I pity you, and also pity all the deities of Huang Quan. The woman continued with an extremely cold and solemn tone. After the samsara collapsed, the world of Huang Quan was in shambles. The power of the countless deities were weakened to their lowest point. If they do not fuse with the Huang Quan fragment again, the deities of Huang Quan would sooner or later become the slaves of others, just like what you've seen. And you, Huang Quan Devil King, you have yet to truly witness this world, as well as the coming era. She lowered her voice to a slow and deep voice. Once you receive the recognition of that scepter, you will no longer be immortal. You will enjoy the worship of the dead, but at the same time, you will also have to bear the responsibilities and obligations of the underworld. Devil King, your fate is intertwined with mine, but the current me cannot use a spell to appear by your side and help you overcome your difficulties. That is why you must think of a way to survive the world's apocalypse until the day the new era arrives. When that day comes, we shall meet again. Gu Qing Shan sharply caught a single word and asked, "The new era? What do you mean by the new era?" "The era of the samsara clash for supremacy." Saying so, the woman stood up and lightly rowed the oar. A small boat drifted with the waves of the mighty river and soon disappeared without a trace. The forgetting river also slowly faded away, completely disappearing from the lazuli world sky. The only people left in this world were Gu Qingshan and Xie Dao Ling. Gu Qingshan looked up at the void of space for a long time, feeling lost. Indeed, the forgetting river can only be used by women. I can't use the forgetting river level of power, nor can I summon this skeleton beauty to help me fight against enemies. This was also the regret in the woman's words. Perhaps there were other reasons as well, but Gu Qingshan didn't know. Xie Daoling glanced at Gu Qingshan and cleared her throat. There's nothing to regret about not being a woman. Not all divine skills can only be performed by female cultivators. Gu Qingshan nodded. Xie Daoling changed the topic. For us, the only regretful thing about this tribulation is that the Wraith managed to escape. Gu Qingshan followed up. Actually, I should be thanking those Wraiths. It was fortunate that they used an immortal technique to block this spell. Otherwise, Shifu would have to waste her vitality again. Xie Daoling pursed her lips into a smile and said, "This battle has been going on for a long time. We need to speed up and finish this tribulation as soon as possible." The two of them looked around. The Azuras and Phoenixes were still frozen, unable to move at all. "Shifu, do you still want to ride the Phoenix?" "Forget it. That Phoenix's heart isn't willing. It's also uncomfortable to sit on it. Let's go." The two of them flew through the sky, heading deeper into the sky. Chapter 12:12. Godly Mt Shumi. Countless worlds. Layers of worlds crisscrossed, linked up, interconnected, from the foot of the mountain all the way to the top of the mountain without a break. Gu Qingshan and Xie Daoling rode the wind. One barren world after another unfolded in front of them. Monsters of all shapes and sizes were trying to destroy every world. Gu Qingshan released the true Crimson Demon Spear. Along the way, whenever she saw a worthy target, she would kill them with the spear. With the power of the duo dragons, he had already far surpassed the living beings of this Mount Sumeru. Even the Wraith Song Wuzhong would have to first set up a trap to restrain his power before anything else. How could those monsters be a match for Gu Qingshan? Along the way, the godly Mt Shumi destroyed countless monsters with the demonic spear, their power returning to the godly Mt Shumi. Finally, as they were about to reach the summit of Mount Sumeru, the true Crimson Demon Spear let out a clear ringing sound. Gu Qingshan and Xie Daoling stopped in the air. Xie Daoling looked at the spear and said, "The will of the Divine Mountain had descended upon this weapon, apparently wanting to communicate with you." Gu Qingshan looked at the true Crimson Demon Spear. "The Mahesvara thaumaturgy seems to be evolving. Let me see what's going on." He closed his eyes and communicated with the will of the true Crimson Demon Spear. At the same time, lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You killed a large amount of evil and forcefully converted them into the Divine Mountain's origin power. You are about to complete this tribulation. At this crucial moment, the Divine Mountain will give you two choices. First, if you leave after reaching the top of the mountain, you will have completed this tribulation, and your Mahesvara thaumaturgy will also advance twice in a row. Secondly, the destruction of the Divine Mountain is a secret. Although you already know that everything came from the Wraith Realm, is that really the truth? In fact, not even the will of the Divine Mountain knows the ins and outs of everything. If you can help the Divine Mountain find the source of its destruction and completely save the Divine Mountain from destruction, the Divine Mountain will help you evolve your Mahesvara thaumaturgy to perfection. There's no need to rush to make a decision. You can make your decision at the last moment. Gu Qing Shan opened her eyes, and there was a hint of disappointment in them. If he wasn't so pressed for time, he was more than willing to stay and help the godly MT Shumi search for the source of the destruction. But he had to go to the battlefield at noon. It was a battle between order and chaos, a great war within the 900 million world layers. He had to go. He couldn't stay. How is it? Xie Dao Ling asked. Gu Qing Shan told him the whole story. So even the will of the Divine Mountain doesn't know what happened. Xie Dao Ling sighed emotionally. There must be a reason behind this, but I'm guessing it's not something we can find out, Gu Qing Shan said. Xie Dao Ling pondered for a bit, then said, Qing Shan, truthfully, before I came here, I had a premonition and performed a few divinations, all of which pointed to the top of Mount Serene. Master doesn't need to go through the tribulation to break through. Gu Qing Shan nodded. Xie Dao Ling continued. That's exactly why I felt like I had to come here in order to remember a few important things. Let us go. Perhaps I'll find something new once we reach the top. Gu Qing Shan sighed. If not, we'll have no choice but to complete this tribulation and leave this place. For some reason, I'd rather do that. Xie Dao Ling nodded and smiled. Let's go. What will come can't be avoided. There were countless secrets within the infinite worlds. Behind each secret would be a corresponding danger or a heavy price to pay. Although Gu Qing Shan's words were depressing, Xie Dao Ling knew that he was only venting his emotions and reminding her to be careful. In truth, if such a thing was to stand in front of Cultivator, they would definitely face it, because cultivation was all about facing difficulties. The two of them continued flying toward the top of Mount Samru, passing through one world after another, killing hordes of ghosts and revenants. Against Gu Qing Shan's overwhelming power, all enemies were annihilated. Finally, the master and disciple pair reached the final world, the peak of Mount Samru. This was the smallest world, with only a barren stretch of mountain rocks. Outside of the mountain was the boundless space vortex. This is the top of the mountain? Gu Qing Shan looked far ahead, but couldn't see anything. He unwillingly used the true Crimson Demon Spear to poke the mountain rock. The rock immediately crumbled. They really were just the most normal rock. No need to look, Qing Shan. According to the records, this place is like this. Xie Dao Ling returned to her little girl form, closed her eyes, and spoke with a childish voice. Sure, Fu. Do you remember anything? Gu Qing Shan asked. I can sense a lot of memories surging towards me. Qing Shan, if I can't tell you anything, use your words to guide me, Xie Dao Ling said. All right, a few moments later, Xie Dao Ling opened her eyes, gazed into the endless void of space, then became blurred and lost focus. It was as if she was staring at some invisible images and shadows. The spirit energy fluctuations around her body became chaotic and chaotic. Her body also began to hover. She whispered, a long time ago, the Divine Mountain of Sumru was a samsara treasure artifact, specifically used to select cultivators. Gu Qing Shan waited for a bit, but seeing that she didn't continue, he tried to guide her. Why does the Divine Mountain of Sumru select cultivators? Receiving this hint, Xie Dao Ling's expression became even more confused, hesitated for a while, then slowly spoke. Selecting cultivators, the path to heaven. Gu Qing Shan's heart jumped. He suddenly recalled the broken path to heaven that he saw during the semester examination in the cultivation world. The square platform. A ruined palace. A flight of stairs appeared out of thin air, extending all the way to the sky, but it was cut off at the middle. Perhaps the selection process had already begun a long time ago, when cultivators had just started to walk the path. But then, why is this happening? Gu Shan took a deep breath, faintly realizing something. He forced himself to calm down and slowly asked, "Why do cultivators have to climb the path to heaven?" Hearing this question, Xie Daoling's spirit energy suddenly became even more chaotic, clasping her forehead with both hands as if trying to recall something. "Cultivators," she suddenly called out, then hurriedly explained, "only cultivators can pass through the law of heaven and earth's test to become a true heavenly being and wield the authority of the samsara." Gu Shan was shocked. There were countless cultivators who faced their tribulations, but under the layers of heaven's tribulations, countless people died with regret. So cultivators can eventually become heavenly beings and wield the samsara. Everything is clear now. No wonder other professions can easily break through, but cultivators have to face a heaven's tribulation every time they break through. No wonder the Wraith realm wanted to destroy the Yama King realm and even the divine mountain of Sumeru. If cultivators can eventually become heavenly beings of the heaven realm and wield the samsara, how could those wraiths be willing to accept that? How could he let it go unchecked? Xie Daoling suddenly regained her senses. Her body went limp and was about to collapse. Gu Shan immediately caught her. Xie Daoling's expression was tired, but her eyes were clear and bright, muttering, "Who would have thought? Our generation of cultivators had to go through so many hardships and tribulations, all because the laws of the samsara were selecting heavenly beings." Gu Shan was also shocked. At this point, the mountain peak hovered in the air, heavenly hymns resounded, countless flowers fluttered in the air, the images of various divine beasts and fairies manifested naturally in the sky. The divine mountain of Sumeru gave off an intense resonance, manifesting countless supernatural phenomena that manifested in front of the two of them. Gu Shan could feel the spirit energy inside her body exploding, breaking through the bottleneck and heading towards Mahesvara King realm. He's about to break through. Xie Daoling's spirit energy waves were also slowly becoming stronger. She was about to become the first Sumeru lord in the countless cultivation worlds in the last several thousand years. A second later, the divine beast Qilin appeared in front of them. "Congratulations, you finally passed the tribulation," it spoke with a gentle voice. "Not only that, a Sumeru lord has also comprehended the secrets of the past world. If this were to spread, it would surely inspire all cultivators. The two of you may leave." Gu Shan and Xie Daoling exchanged glances. Xie Daoling decided, "This matter is too important. I need to quickly return and announce this to the entire cultivation world." Gu Shan also said, "Then I'll have to trouble Shifu. I don't have much time. I need to find my friends right away." "All right, let's go," Xie Daoling said. The two of them stood up and were about to fly away from the summit of Sumeru. Before they left, Xie Daoling suddenly clasped her fist towards the Qilin and casually asked, "Thank you for your protection during this tribulation. May I ask if Your Excellency is the artifact spirit of this divine mountain of Sumeru?" The divine beast Qilin replied. "I am." Gu Shan looked at the divine beast Qilin and smiled. The divine mountain was corrupted by the Wraith realm and was heading toward destruction. But before that, the divine mountain should have been fine. The divine beast Qilin stared at her and replied, "Of course, everything was caused by the Wraith realm. How detestable!" Gu Shan and Xie Daoling slowly stopped and stood still. This time, they weren't in a hurry to leave. The divine mountain's destruction was a secret. Not even the will of the divine mountain knew about it. Not even the divine mountain knew about it. Being questioned by the two of them, the divine beast Qilin said that everything was caused by the Wraith realm. If it was the artifact spirit of Sumeru, then it was lying. If it wasn't the artifact spirit, then it was already lying. Gu Shan took a step forward. All of a sudden, everything around him disappeared. Xie Daoling, the divine mountain of Sumeru, the divine beast Qilin, and the space vortex all disappeared. Iris technique, time recollection. Come, lying divine beast. Let me see what else you're hiding in your memories, Gu Qing Shan muttered in a low voice. Come, Miao Shu House. Chapter 12:13. A world disappeared in front of Gu Qing Shan's eyes. At the same time, another world appeared and quickly unfolded in front of Gu Qing Shan's eyes. Light, scatter. The world was bright. Lush greenery, a clear stream. Gu Qing Shan found himself in a forest, standing on top of a rock next to a stream. The scenery around him was pleasant without anything out of the ordinary. But since this was the divine beast Qilin's memories, it definitely wasn't just the scenery. Gu Qing Shan silently stood on top of the rock for a while. Soon enough, he saw a gray wild dog leading a pack of wild dogs to drink from a stream. After drinking, they didn't leave right away. Instead, they gathered on the grass next to the stream, playing and fighting with each other. Everything was normal, until Gu Qing Shan abruptly turned around, only to see an extremely beautiful woman walking out from the void of space, standing next to the stream. Countless stars were manifesting, being born, and being destroyed behind her. Renedal. Gu Qing Shan was shocked. Back at Heaven Pillar City, the world fragments had already shown the scene of her destroying the samsara fragments. Who would have thought she would also appear on Mount Sumeru? Renedal's appearance naturally drew the attention of the wild dogs. Their sharp senses seemed to have noticed something, so they turned around and tried to run deeper into the forest. But no matter how much they ran, they could only run in place, unable to move a single inch. Renedal muttered to herself, "This Mount Sumu doesn't have a path to heaven. How different from other cultivation worlds," she silently thought for a bit, then looked at the group of wild dogs not too far away. Even if I destroy the Yama Heaven and Mount Sumuru's tribulation, they will still be born again after a while. Destroying such worlds would indeed cause them to slowly weaken, but this would require me to constantly stay here and spend a lot of time to do so. Got it. I might as well let these tribulation worlds continue to exist, but make some changes. After saying that, she blew at the group of wild dogs. All the wild dogs turned to dust and disappeared from this world. Only the last wild dog was left. It lay on the ground and whimpered in fear, begging Renedal to spare its life. "Today is your lucky day." Renedal smiled. She raised her slender arm and gently waved it in the air. A 5-colored cloud appeared in her hand. She looked at the wild dog and said, "This is the mountain guardian Qilin that I just killed. I completely deconstructed it and understood the laws of this creature's composition. Do you want to die, or do you want to live on as a guardian Qilin?" Wild Dog hurriedly nodded his head to the ground, his mouth continuously letting out a flattering whine. Renedal revealed a satisfied expression and muttered, "Turning a wild dog into a Qilin to guard and search for secrets for me should be an interesting matter." The multicolored cloud was thrown out and landed on the wild dog's body. The wild dog lay motionless on the ground, its mouth full of pain and anguish. Several breaths later, Wild Dog's body gradually expanded. Auspicious clouds rose under his feet, and an extraordinary aura arose spontaneously. In front of everyone's eyes, it had turned into a Qilin. The power that restrained it finally scattered. It lowered its head and ears, crouched down, carefully crawled in front of Renedal, then whimpered in a flattering manner. Renedal thought for a bit, then ordered, "I've drilled a hole in the Divine Mountain's barrier. I will now infuse the power of this hole into your body to counteract the Divine Mountain's self-recovery ability. Listen, you will need to stay here and observe for me. See what will happen to this mountain after it falls into chaos. But your most important duty is to find the path to heaven during the Divine Mountain's destruction. You must destroy the path to heaven. If, after countless years, someone comes to save this mountain, think of a way to kill them. However, if they want to destroy this mountain, then ignore them. Wait until the Divine Mountain is completely destroyed. Then you can enter a new Divine Mountain and continue to search for the path to heaven." Renedal seemed to have thought of something as she put her hand on the Qilin's head and muttered, "Find the path to heaven and destroy it. This is the only reason for your survival. Do you understand?" Light came from her hand, and slowly merged into the Chilin's head. The Chilin spoke in human language. Yes, esteemed divine king. Seeing that she had given her orders, Reneedle's figure slowly faded away. The forest, the stream, the Chilin, Reneedle, everything abruptly faded away. The entire world disappeared in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. He had returned to the top of Mount Sumeru. She stood next to him, cautiously protecting him. "How is it?" she asked. "Wait a moment." Sure, Fu. Gu Qingshan's figure flashed and appeared in front of the Chilin. He held the Chilin's head with one hand while raising the true Crimson Demon Spear with the other. The divine mountain of Sumeru had existed for countless years, only to be destroyed in the end. So the root of the problem was you. The Chilin struggled with all his might, but with his head held down by Gu Qingshan, he couldn't escape at all. Gu Qingshan now had the power of 2 dragons. He stabbed the true Crimson Demon Spear into the Chilin's body. At first, the spear didn't react to the Chilin at all, but as time passed, the entire spear began to shake intensely. The entire divine mountain began to shake. It seemed to be extremely angry. A second later, a blinding 5-colored light descended from above, falling onto the true Crimson Demon Spear. This was the power of the divine mountain of Sumeru. At this moment, it finally discovered the root of all the disasters. The Chilin screamed in pain. Clusters of light of different colors came out from the spear and entered the divine mountain of Sumeru. Not too long later, the Chilin's body became smaller and smaller, finally turning into a wild dog. The wild dog stood still, its body crumbled into dust and scattered in the air. All was quiet. Between heaven and earth, the sound of howling wind could be heard. An invisible fluctuation descended onto the true Crimson Demon Spear, causing the spear to let out a resounding woo-woo sound. Seeing this, Xie Dao Ling muttered, "The will of the divine mountain seems to be very agitated. Could it be that the one destroying the divine mountain was this guardian Chilin?" Gu Qingshan replied, "In truth, it's still the Wraith Realm, but this Chilin was ordered by someone else to carry a deeper secret." He explained everything he saw in the Chilin's memories, as well as Reneedle's background. Xie Dao Ling pondered. So this person called Reneedle has been destroying countless worlds. Could it be that she's afraid of the heavenly beings appearing? Regardless, from the very beginning, she had been standing against the samsara. Gu Qingshan casually replied. The true Crimson Demon Spear. S cry became louder and louder, seemingly carrying a hint of joy and urging. Gu Qingshan slowly closed her eyes and began to communicate with the will of the divine mountain. As time passed, a few lines of glowing text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face, you've helped the divine mountain find the source of destruction and completely save the divine mountain from Reneedle's schemes. From now on, the divine mountain of Sumeru's only loophole has disappeared. The divine mountain's barrier will gradually return to normal. In the midst of the infinite world's destruction, the path of a cultivator's tribulation has once again been opened. The divine mountain of Sumeru shall grant you the ultimate Mahasvara thaumaturgy in accordance with your epithet as repayment for your actions. Your Mahasvara thaumaturgy, evil suppressor, orange shadow, is currently evolving. Please hold the true Crimson Demon Spear and wait for 10 seconds. Gu Qingshan held the true Crimson Demon Spear without moving. What is it? Xie Dao Ling asked. The divine mountain said that I've found and eliminated the source of the calamity and is now granting me the ultimate Mahasvara thaumaturgy in accordance with my epithet, Gu Qingshan replied. Xie Dao Ling asked with interest. What epithet did you get from the La Gong when you entered? That's a bit hard to say. As soon as she said that, a clear chime came from the war god UI. New lines of glowing text quickly appeared. Your Mahasvara thaumaturgy has completed its evolution. In accordance with your epithet, the divine mountain of Sumeru has created a perfect Mahasvara thaumaturgy for you. Evil suppressor, orange mountain, ultimate Mahasvara thaumaturgy. When you use this thaumaturgy, you'll transform into the evil suppressor physique. Evil suppressor physique, while you are in the orange mountain state. All power you absorb from the outside world will be quickly converted into your own power. No longer subject to the same seals as the Wraith Seal. Orange Mountain. While you transform into the Orange Mountain, you will continuously absorb the drifting origin power of the soul from the endless void, countless living beings, and all things. Reading this, Gu Qing Shan couldn't help but feel excited. In other words, as long as I use the Mahesvara Thaumaturgy, Orange Mountain, I'll be able to convert the power of the two dragons into my own, no longer subject to the effects of any seals. Later on, I'll be able to use the ability of Magic Dragon's bloodline to convert the power of other enemies into my own, achieving the same effect. This Mahesvara Thaumaturgy is a perfect match for the power of Magic Dragon's bloodline. Not to mention, there's an even more important ability. As long as I use Orange Mountain, I'll be able to constantly absorb soul points from a void. In truth, ever since I obtained the power of the two dragons, it's been a very long time since I received any soul points. Because in terms of strength alone, I'm already stronger than those monsters. But for a battle of life and death in the infinite worlds, strength isn't the only thing that determines victory. There will always be various strange and unusual abilities that have the power to change the course of a battle. That's why Gu Qing Shan still needed a lot of soul points to perform those unimaginable sword techniques and thaumaturgy. Originally, he was still feeling anxious about this, but who could have known that after capturing the Qilin, the Divine Mountain would grant him the perfect Mahesvara Thaumaturgy, instantly resolving his most fundamental problem. As expected of a Mahesvara Thaumaturgy, Xiadao Ling noticed the change in Gu Qing Shan's emotions and smiled. Qing Shan, what kind of thaumaturgy is this? Why don't you show it to Shifu? Gu Qing Shan immediately agreed. All right, this thaumaturgy is called Orange Mountain. It's a type of evil suppressor physique. I don't know what will happen if I use it. Please help me. Shifu. He silently sensed the thaumaturgy he just obtained and slowly found a trick to using it. Dash, Orange Mountain, activate. Sha! Gu Qing Shan disappeared without a trace. What? Where did she go? Xie Dao Ling's expression changed, but quickly returned to normal. So that's it, Xie Dao Ling lightly said, and picked up a large orange tabby cat from ground. Chapter 12:14. The Peak of Mount Sumeru. An orange cat and a little girl were staring at each other. A cold mountain breeze blew past. The little girl, the big tabby cat. Seeing the confusion in the big tabby cat's eyes, the little girl's expression became tense. She found that she had recently been using the strong willpower she had tempered through countless life and death situations to keep a straight face. After a bit of thought, the little girl praised, a very good thaumaturgy. I can sense the endless power from the void of space flowing into your body bit by bit, and the feeling of disharmony caused by absorbing the power of the two dragons is slowly disappearing. The big tabby cat uttered a confused meow. The little girl almost broke her expression and could only barely maintain a serious expression. Although the little girl's serious expression only made her seem more adorable, at least her tone was very serious. Turning into an evil suppressor beast is actually a unique way of cultivation. Qing Shan, you need to keep working hard. The big tabby cat's confused expression slowly disappeared. He turned to the War God UI. Lines of glowing text kept appearing on the interface. You've entered the Mountain of Orange state. Evil suppressor physique activated. In this state, any power that you absorb will no longer be able to cause any trouble and will be completely converted into your power. You are currently converting the power of the two dragons. Please maintain this state until the entire process is complete. Attention! If you transform into a human halfway through, the conversion process will be interrupted. The entire process will have to start all over again. While in the Mountain of Orange state, you will be constantly absorbing soul points from the outside world. Soul points +1, soul points +2, soul points +1, soul points +1, soul points +3. Gu Qing Shan did some calculations. Every 3 seconds, my soul points will increase. Although the amount of soul points I get each time isn't too much, it's still a profitable business if I keep earning. With that in mind, being a cat doesn't really matter. Shifu was already able to transform into thousands of different forms. even turning into a white goose and becoming the eldest brother of Baihua sect. So what if I turn into a cat? The big tabby cat nodded thoughtfully, finally accepting this new thaumaturgy. Seeing that he had thought it through, the little girl put the orange cat down. Actually, for a moment, she really wanted to touch its fur, but the little girl resisted the urge and retracted her hand. Remember, you can now add your own dependents. You can borrow one of each dependent's abilities, just like how I borrowed your Dream Jolt thaumaturgy, the little girl reminded him seriously. The big tabby cat meowed in confusion. The little girl listened attentively. This body could transform into thousands of bodies, birds, and beasts, and it had mastered the cat language a long time ago. The little girl said, "Me? Of course I can't. Only cultivators of the same realm as you or lower than you can establish a dependent connection with you." The big tabby cat sighed in disappointment. Seeing his disappointment, the little girl changed her mind and said, "The spirit tortoise is still at the foot of the mountain. It must have passed the ordeal of Mahesvara King this time. You can establish a dependent connection with it. I remember that it seems to have a very good defensive ability." The big tabby cat shook its head. He had to politely decline the spirit tortoise's traceless head and tail thaumaturgy. Turning into a cat was already his bottom line. What would that amount to if he turned into a turtle shell as well? Seems like if I want to use the Mahesvara dependent thaumaturgy, I'll have to find other cultivators. The little girl continued to remind him, "One final point, and also the most important point. You must remember." The big tabby cat looked at her. The little girl became serious and spoke with a serious expression. "You can absorb all powers, but remember, you absolutely must not get fat." The big tabby cat was a bit surprised. The little girl continued, "Qing Shan, you still have the ability to transform into a dragon, but you've turned into a black dragon. This type of dragon is not recognized by the dragon race, so it might be dangerous in the future. Furthermore, although you can refine all kinds of powers after turning into a cat, don't be greedy or get fat. You must remember not to get fat. Once you get fat, you won't be able to fly or fight with your full strength when you turn into a dragon. Those dragons with big bellies are too ashamed to face anyone. So they have no choice but to find a random backward magic type world, hide in a deep cave, and live with a bit of money every day. They can't even fly very high, so they have no choice but to manifest a pair of wings to barely fly while dragging their bellies. They don't have the fighting prowess you do. They can only fight by spitting." The big tabby cat seriously listened to her, nodded, and memorized it. 5-colored light slowly descended from the void of space, circling around the two of them. The Sumeru Lord Realm and Mahesvara King Realm Tribulation had both been completed, and now the master and disciple pair could truly leave. "Qing Shan, everything here is done. There's still a bit of time until noon. You can definitely make it if you return now," the little girl said. The big tabby cat asked, "Meow, meow, meow?" The little girl replied, "Me? I'll also return to Shenwu World and spread the news of what happened here to the other cultivation worlds." The big tabby cat clasped his paws. "Meow, meow, meow." The little girl then displayed the demeanor of a grandmaster and nodded. Qing Shan, be careful when you're outside. Also, don't ruin our Baihua sect's reputation." The big tabby cat meow slowly disappeared into the 5-colored light and left Mount Sumeru. The only person left on top of the mountain was the little girl. "All right, I found out a lot of things this time, so I need to quickly return and gather everyone and tell them everything," the little girl muttered to herself. For some reason, she recalled what Gu Qing Shan told her before. The path to heaven. Why did that woman called Reneedle want to destroy the path to heaven? Is she that afraid of the heavenly beings of the heaven realm? Fortunately, she couldn't find the path to heaven on this Mount Sumeru. As the little girl thought about it, her expression suddenly became a bit blank. "The path to heaven," she murmured to herself as she immersed herself in her memories. Countless scenes came one after another, flashing through his mind at a dazzling speed. Mount Sumeru, that hidden path. Xia Daoling appeared to be in pain and couldn't help but mutter. All of a sudden, she returned to her true form, sat down on the ground, and breathed heavily for a while. It was too dangerous. There are some secrets that I can't recall right now. Otherwise, there would be huge problems after resting for a bit. Xie Dao Ling stood up. However, now that I've recalled this, she walked to the back of the mountain and stopped in front of a rock at the edge of the cliff. A few moments of silence. Xie Dao Ling took a step forward. Her foot touched the void of space, but seemed to be stopped by something and didn't fall down. This is the place, the hidden path to heaven. Xie Dao Ling raised her other foot and continued to take another step upwards. At this point, she was already standing in the void of space outside of Mount Sumeru, the void of space beneath her feet. She continued to move upwards, quickly disappearing from the top of Mount Sumeru. At another location, the Wraith Realm. It was a pitch-black temple that was completely silent. Countless wraiths stood in formation, guarding this temple. This was the center of the Wraith Realm, conquering the infinite worlds, fighting against the abyss, collecting the samsara fragments. All of these orders were issued from this place. At this point, a man wearing a yiksha mask stood at the entrance of the temple, silently waiting. A few moments later, a dark red badge suddenly appeared in front of him. What followed was a voice that made an announcement. "Sir, the three Wraith Lords' meeting is about to end. You'll need to head to the West Palace first." The man clasped his fist to receive the badge and replied, "Thank you. I'll be on my way." From the sound of this voice, it was Song Wuzhong. With the badge in hand, he passed through the gate of the temple and headed towards the West Palace. Every wraith on the way respectfully bowed to greet him. Only a few wraiths didn't even bother to look at him and simply walked past him. "Aha! That guy can't even keep an eye on a prison cell. I heard that's not all. There's also..." Although the small discussions were purposely suppressed, who wouldn't be able to hear them at this level? Song Wuzhong angrily scoffed, but didn't say anything else and quickened his pace. "Sir!" The two wraiths guarding the West Palace bowed and greeted him. Song Wuzhong didn't even look at them and went in. The West Palace was dark, with only two maids standing guard in front of the wraith statue. Seeing him come in, the two maids both bowed to greet him. Song Wuzhong hurriedly returned the greeting, his anger also disappearing without a trace. One of the maids came forward and presented a stick of incense in front of Song Wuzhong. Song Wuzhong respectfully received it, inserted it into the incense burner in front of the wraith statue, then silently waited on one side. The two maids stood on both sides of the wraith statue. Neither side spoke. A few moments later, the stick of incense was lit, giving off a faint cloud of smoke. Song Wuzhong immediately knelt down in front of the wraith statue and said, "Greetings, Wraith Lord." An indifferent voice resounded from the wraith statue, completely emotionless. "There are too many matters to attend to, so I didn't want to summon you here, but this place is still the central hub. If you don't come here for a bit, you'll eventually be pushed out." Song Wuzhong remained silent. The voice continued, "The Huang Quan fragment world used to be our prison. You were responsible for watching over the prisoners, but there seems to have been a bit of a disturbance recently." Song Wuzhong replied, "I've already sent troops to suppress it." The voice continued, "One more thing, I heard that the Yama King had disappeared from our surveillance." Song Wuzhong replied, "Indeed. I've just received news that the Mount Sumeru we've been working on for so long had suddenly manifested a new heavenly palace barrier, completely blocking off our path of entry. In other words, the amount of manpower and resources we've invested into this mountain might very well have all gone away." Song Wuzhong fell silent. The voice also stopped talking. After a long while, Song Wuzhong finally spoke up with difficulty. "That is indeed the case, Wraith Lord." The voice spoke regretfully. "Originally, I thought highly of you. After all, you're quite skilled in dealing with the samsara fragment world, and you even managed to rope in an azure dragon to help the army in the war against the eternal abyss. Unfortunately." A black blade suddenly descended from the wraith statue and pressed against Song Wuzhong's neck. Song Wuzhong remained kneeling on the ground, his back straight and unmoving. The blade also didn't move. A few moments later, the voice sighed, then spoke up again. "I know that you've always been an outstanding person." "Very well, I'll ask you one last time." Song Wuzhong clasped his fist and bowed, saying, "Thank you, Wraith Lord." The voice asked, So, was it your mistake, or was that Huang Quan Devil King really that difficult to deal with? Song Wuzhong took out a jade talisman and crushed it. Countless images scattered from the jade talisman, forming a scene in the air. Xie Dao Ling quickly formed a hand seal. The divine skill was completed. The dusky world. The boundless great river. A small skiff. An orphan girl. This scene was so shocking that even the two maids raised their heads to take a look. A long sigh resounded from the wraith statue. So, it was her. I'll have to inform the others later. Now, tell me, how did you deal with it at the time? Song Wuzhong replied. At the time, I used the vitality of 18 wraiths to perform the immortal craft Thousand Ruler Mirror to temporarily stop this Huang Quan divine skill. The voice from the wraith statue suddenly chuckled. Dealing with it wasn't an issue, but do you really think the vitality of 18 wraiths was enough to stop her? Song Wuzhong froze. The voice seemed to have gained a bit more emotion as it continued. Using the power of wraiths to perform an immortal craft is nothing more than trying to paint a tiger. Not to mention, in front of an entity like her, she simply felt that existences like you weren't worth her effort, so she didn't act unless the woman who summoned her paid the corresponding price. She wouldn't even move a finger to kill you, because this was the rule she had set. But then again, if she truly wanted someone's life, she would have given up on her reward and personally taken away everything she wanted. The Yiksha mask on Song Wuzhang's face suddenly cracked open. Following that, the entire mask completely shattered, revealing his cold and narrow pupils, as well as his dark and gloomy expression. A new mask manifested from the void of space. Compared to the previous mask, this new mask had a bit more blood red to it, giving it a terrifying appearance. The voice continued, "You really can't be blamed for what happened this time. After all, within the entire Wraith realm, the only ones who could fight against her were us old geezers, but everything you've been doing has failed in the end. I shall now strip you of your Wraith Might mask and demote you to Wraith General. Do you have any objections?" Song Wuzhang's heart finally calmed down. So, I survived. He clasped his fist. "Wraith Lord, sir, this subordinate has no objections." The voice spoke with satisfaction. "That is good. After all, in this era of war, a capable general is hard to come by. Following this, you shall head to the space vortex and participate in the campaign against the Eternal Abyss. Understood. According to the latest intelligence, the Huang Quan Devil King seems to have allied with the Eternal Abyss. As a man, he cannot summon the Forgetting River. I shall give you 300 wraiths and 100,000 wraith soldiers. Find a chance to eliminate him and bring his head back. I shall bestow upon you the Wraith Might name again." Song Wuzhong silently listened, then bowed. "Understood. Thank you, sir." Chapter 12:15. The war had begun. Within the 900 million world layers, the combatants who had joined Chaos had already arrived at the Mystic Zones and surrounded the Bramblebird Kingdom. They were currently launching probing attacks. "Ah, so the legendary Iron Fist Bali is only SOSO after all," someone laughed in a frenzy. The 700 to 800 carriers of Chaos chased after Iron Fist Bali, occasionally unleashing a flurry of attacks. Bali fought while retreating, occasionally finding the right opportunity to kill the most arrogant of them all. Whenever that happened, a dense barrage of attacks would strike him and send him flying. He appeared to be in an extremely sorry state, as if he was on the verge of death. It couldn't be helped. There were simply too many people who had joined Chaos within the Infinite Worlds, so the Bramble Bird Kingdom's manpower was limited. Finally, the encirclement of Bali was complete. In the void of space, several thousand carriers of Chaos had completely surrounded Bali. There was no way for him to retreat anymore. This time, the carriers of Chaos weren't in a hurry. They all attacked at the same time, taking turns to fight against Bali. After all, Bali's Iron Fist wasn't to be trifled with. If any of them had to face Bali alone, the only outcome would be death. This was the wild dog tactic, making it so that Bali couldn't even run away from them. A powerful carrier of Chaos who was in charge flew out, looked down at Bali from above, and shook his head. "TSK, TSK, TSK, pitiful Iron Fist combatant, your era has passed. However, in consideration of how many people worshipped you in the past, you may say your last words." Bali spat out some blood, parried the carrier of chaos, who was attacking him with one hand, then took out a walkie-talkie with the other and casually said, "Yi Fei Li, I've attracted enough firepower." Yi Fei Li's voice came from the other side of the walkie-talkie. "Very well. Sure enough, you've used my monster luring and farming techniques." As soon as she said so, a thin, cold flash of light appeared from the void of space and flashed like lightning. This cold flash struck one of the carriers of chaos. The carriers of chaos were unharmed. He paused for a moment and found that nothing was wrong with him. He couldn't help but mock. "You want to deal with me with this kind of attack?" Before he could finish speaking, their commander's expression suddenly changed, and he shouted, "Not good. Retreat." "It's too late." Another cold flash of light struck another carrier of chaos. Following that, countless cold rays of light shot through the void from the Bramble Bird Kingdom's direction, enveloping the thousands of carriers of chaos in this area. Deathly magic line. When it hits an enemy, there is a certain chance that the enemy will die instantly. If a powerful shadow mage were to cast this spell, the probability of killing the enemy would increase according to their strength. If such an attack was released with a magic device, the probability of killing the enemy would be very low. But it did not matter. The Bramblebird Kingdom used 3 million death magic thread launchers at once to completely cover this entire area, firing them without stopping. In this case, no matter how low the probability of killing the enemy was under the saturated attack, no one would be able to leave alive. Soon, all the carriers of chaos in the sky above had become floating corpses. Only Bali was still standing in the void. He was safe and sound, because he wouldn't die while in battle. What a bunch of fools. You don't even have a brain, yet you still dare to come out and spout nonsense, Bali coldly said. He looked towards the distant sky, his cold eyes showing signs of worry. Tens of thousands of carriers of chaos were standing guard in the sky, establishing a temporary base. They didn't actively attack and simply guarded the base. The combatants of chaos, who were proficient in space, were working together to construct a super large-scale warp formation. The Soul, Shrieker, God of Life, and Magic Dragon were traveling through time and would soon return. The Bramblebird Kingdom, the Royal Palace. Report, Your Majesty. The enemy is coming from every corner of the 900 million world layers. There are too many of them. We can't break through and destroy their super large-scale warp formation. Hearing that, Lola couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. Although the Bramblebird Kingdom was the wealthiest country in the 900 million world layers, the era of chaos had already taken over the majority of the 900 million world layers. Billions of worlds, countless combatants. Even the Bramblebird Kingdom wouldn't be able to deal with them. That's the only way, Lola decided. Ilya, take out all the super long-range weapons from the treasury and distribute them to our people, yes. Also, arrange for people to prepare all single-use treasures. When we can't hold them off, we'll throw them outside. Understood. I'll talk to the Bramblebird Great Tree. It also needs to be prepared for any situation. At this point, the gate of the royal palace was pushed open. Bali walked in, his body covered in blood. Wait a minute, that's not right, Bali said. What is it, Uncle Bali? Lola asked. Bali casually replied, There are too many enemies. I'm not afraid of death, and I can't die, but this kind of battle is useless. I only charged forward once just now, but I could already feel every inch of my body being destroyed countless times over. Then I was sent flying. Bali had fought in billions of worlds, so he had plenty of experience. If even he had such a feeling, who else would dare to fight? Not only that, the Soul Shrieker had already ascended to godhood. It also had the support of the God of Life and Magic Dragon. With the power of the 900 million world layers alone, it was impossible to win against them. Bali hesitated a bit, then continued. Unless you have a treasure that transcends the realm of ordinary, powerful enough to change the course of the entire war. Just like the Pixie's divine armament, Lola sighed and spoke unwillingly. Unfortunately, Most of the treasures I've seen are only from the 900 million world layers. I've never seen anything more powerful than these, so the chance of me touching them is very small." Everyone went silent. Lola had to have seen a treasure of a certain level before she could touch something of the same level. And the more she had seen, the higher the chance of her being able to touch them. Unfortunately, there weren't many treasures within the 900 million world layers that were as powerful as the Pixie's divine armament. Even if there were, they were extremely rare. Boss thought for a bit, then took out the black trident in his hand and placed it in front of Lola, touched this. Lola sighed and replied, "It's just a good weapon. It's useless for us to cram at the last minute like this. It'll only increase our chances by a very small amount." Even so, she still picked up the black trident and looked at it. "This thing has killed a lot of random things. I feel a bit disgusted by it," Lola scoffed. A few moments later, "All right, I've seen it. Do any of you have anything else good?" Lola glanced over everyone and asked. Bali looked at Meow. Meow looked at Yi Fei Li. Yi Fei Li looked at Zhang Youngho. Zhang Youngho looked at the light sniper rifle in his hand, shook his head, and looked at Bali. Bali shrugged and replied, "The only gauntlet I have was given to me by His Majesty, so there's no need to look at me. As for our old brothers who are still fighting outside, they're each managing dozens or hundreds of world layers, so they have a bit of money, but they've also never seen anything beyond the 900 million world layers." He turned to Gu Qing Shan. Gu Qing Shan spoke with a serious expression. "Lola, you've touched me before. I have nothing else for you to touch. Everyone. Why does that sound a bit wrong?" Anna frowned, but didn't say anything. The other party isn't the real Gu Qing Shan, but his sword spirit, Shanu. A very pure sword spirit. That's why Anna endured it and didn't mind it. Everyone went silent again. At this point, Anna waved her hand. A long-handled scythe enveloped in black flames appeared in her hand. "Touch this." She gave the scythe to Lola. Lola's eyes lit up and asked, "Whoa, what a cool weapon. What is it?" "The Death God's Scythe, from the inner plane, the Pantheon's divine weapon. There's only one of it," Anna replied. Lola excitedly received the scythe and carefully looked at it. Boss stood on one side with the black trident in his arms and glanced at her. "Hey, that's the Death God's weapon. It's also killed a lot of people." Lola looked at Anna. "Don't worry," Anna casually said. "This weapon only kills souls, and souls are usually pure cool." Lola praised. Boss rolled his eyes. Lola stared at the Death God's scythe for a while, then suddenly reached her other hand into the void of space. Everyone nervously looked at her. Lola struggled to raise her hand. Clang! A heavy set of armor fell to the ground. "Ah!" Everyone sighed in disappointment. "Oi, did you really expect me to take out a powerful weapon all of a sudden?" Lola complained. Saying so, she reached her hand into the void of space again and grabbed it. ZZZ. The burning bomb appeared in her hand. "Space bomb." She screamed and threw the bomb into the void of space again. The void of space itself began to tremble. Space bombs were the most infamous technological life form. Anyone who touched it would destroy everything within a 10-mile radius. Everyone was still fearful. "Stop. We can't go on like this. Give me something first. I need to arrange everyone's escape route," Meow called out. Lola stopped what she was doing and asked, "Big sis Meow, what you need?" "I need an artifact that can magnify me." "How big?" "Something like a planet," Lola pondered. "I have a few of those, but they all have certain side effects," Meow replied. "Then we can also find something that can shrink a world down to the size of table," Lola replied. "I do have something like that." She opened her backpack, searched around for a bit, then took out a die. This die had 8 sides. Each side represented a 1. Lola gave the die to Meow and said, "If you want to shrink something to the size of your palm, just put this die on top of that thing. It doesn't matter, even if it's a world, it'll still work. Are you sure it's effective?" "It's effective. Even Tree's collection world was only the size of sphere. I hid it inside a cake." Meow received the die and looked at Bali. Bali slightly nodded. His expression relaxed quite a bit. "All right, now that there's a guarantee, you could try again," Meow said. Yifei gave Lola a drink. Lola drank it all at once and loudly declared, "Oh God, please grant this Empress a peerless artifact that can change the course of a war." Under everyone's watchful eyes, she reached her hand into the void of space again. At another location, a ship was quickly flying through the space vortex towards the Bramblebird Kingdom. This was the Bramblebird Kingdom's fastest ship. In truth, Impartial Goddess ship was equipped with ultra-long-distance warp technology to travel even faster, but unfortunately, Impartial Goddess had accompanied Sue Cher to the Starlight Fortress. On the ship, completely empty, an orange cat sat cross-legged on the pilot's seat with his eyes closed. At a certain point, the orange cat opened his eyes and glanced at the screen. He lifted his tail. Soon. Almost there. Chapter 12:16. Clang. A blade that was stabbed into a heavy rock fell to the ground. Everyone's eyes lit up. Your Majesty, what level of weapon did you touch this time? Yi Fei Li asked. Lola sighed. My Duchess, this time it was only a top-tier blade of the 900 million world layers. It was still a bit lacking. How detestable. She received the energy drink that Yi Fei Li offered her and gulped it down in one gulp. Everyone was a bit disappointed, but more than that, they were calm. Don't be ridiculous. If they could just randomly touch a weapon that could change the course of a war, the 900 million world layers would have already achieved total peace. There wouldn't be any order and chaos anymore. Again, Lola softly called out. She reached her hand into the void of space and began to search. A few moments later, Lola's expression slowly became strange. Your Majesty, what's the matter? Ilya worriedly asked. Everyone also nervously looked at Lola. It's not that. Lola appeared a bit hesitant. Bali spoke in a low voice. Did you run into something especially dangerous? Fine, just give up. Don't touch it anymore, Lola shook her head and muttered. Just now I was thinking that I had to find something that could end the war. Then I felt that my ability was stimulated and couldn't be used anymore. Saying so, she pulled her hand back and gave up on searching for treasures. Her ability can't be used anymore? Everyone's hearts were raised. For an ability user, it was very rare for their ability to disappear, but every time it did, it would always be a huge blow to the ability user, perhaps even changing their entire life from then on. Ilya knelt down on one knee and asked with a trembling voice, Your Majesty, how do you feel? Lola was confused. It's very strange. I can't really describe it clearly. She turned to Boss as if asking for help and asked, Boss, you came from the eternal abyss, so you should have seen the most good things. What do you think of my situation? Boss rubbed his chin and pondered. You can't touch anything anymore? That's right. I can't, Laura replied. Strange. Boss muttered in a low voice, then asked, Just now, you had a strong desire to touch something that could deal with those small fries outside. So, at the moment when your ability disappeared, did you feel anything special? Lola recalled for a moment and said, I felt like there was something standing in the void, and I almost caught it, but that thing kept swaying back and forth, avoiding my hand. In the end, I couldn't catch it. Boss secretly heaved a sigh of relief and said, According to my judgment, this is probably because your ability is about to advance, so you are temporarily in a dormant state. Advancement? Everyone said in unison. Vagrant Treasure Collector was a unique ability of the Bramble Bird Royal family, one that only a handful of royals awakened in history. It was an extremely rare ability, but now Lola said that her ability was going to evolve. This ability was already invincible in the world. Could it become even more powerful? Everyone sighed in relief, but also a bit shocked. Boss asked further, that thing was standing in the void, swaying back and forth. So what do you think that thing was? Lola replied, I feel like it was the tale of something. Boss appeared to understand and said, That's right, this ability of yours could only touch treasures before, but after it evolves, you might be able to touch living creatures. Living creatures? Lola opened her eyes wide. That's right. Flowers, plants, rare creatures, even humans and wild beasts can all be captured by you, said Boss. Zhang Youngho suddenly said, Wait a minute. In other words, just now Lola almost caught a creature, and that creature could deal with this war. Correct, Boss replied. Everyone fell into thought. What kind of creature will be able to deal with this war? Unfortunately, Lola couldn't catch that thing's tail, but who has ever encountered such a thing before? How could they blame Lola for that? All of a sudden, Ilya's expression changed, and she took out her communicator. A screen appeared on the communicator. A line of text appeared on the screen, frowny face. I'm Gu Qingshan. If Meow is here, tell Meow to talk to me. Meow was surprised. Strange, couldn't we have just turned on a video call? Why do we only talk? Did something happen? Meow first glanced at Anna, seeing that her expression was still normal, then took the communicator from Ilya's hand. Gu Qingshan, I'm Meow. I heard that you went to retrieve a certain item. That item is necessary to defeat the Soul Shrieker. Did you succeed? Meow asked. All was quiet. Everyone was waiting to hear from him. Z. After a series of chaotic noises, a voice came from the communicator. Meow. Everyone exchanged glances. Meow's cat ears instantly perked up. She could understand cat language, so she immediately replied. Meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. A reply came from the communicator. Meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow froze, then realized. Meow, 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 meow. Anna couldn't help but ask. What happened? Why is there a cat meowing? Meow lowered her head, her body trembling as she slowly put the communicator down. Seeing that, Anna's heart couldn't help but sink and quickly asked, Where's Qingshan? Is he all right? Meow abruptly looked up to the sky and laughed. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. A helpless voice resounded from the communicator. Meow. Then the communicator hung up. Jang Young-ho was a cat owner, so he naturally understood what was going on and hesitantly asked, Did Gu Qingshan adopt a cat? Meow chuckled for a while, then finally managed to control her emotions and replied, Meow, meow. No, he didn't adopt a cat, but rather he grasped a thaumaturgy that allowed him to turn into a cat. But he can't turn back for now. He found a treasure that can prevent the Soul Shrieker from absorbing souls. This means that our greatest threat is gone. Anna breathed a sigh of relief. Everyone silently nodded. That's great. Being able to deal with the Soul Shrieker's ability. This war went from being completely unwinnable to having a sliver of hope. Turning into a cat. No wonder this guy didn't want a video call and insisted on talking to Meow. He didn't want everyone to see his cat form because he was embarrassed. Turning into a cat. A strange glint appeared in Lola's eyes as she couldn't help but clasped her hands together in front of her chest. Anna's eyes were already filled with stars as she muttered, This guy really knows how to make people like him now. Bali cleared his throat and asked, Then, where is he right now? He said that he'll arrive in an hour and told us not to worry, Meow replied. Report. 2 Bramblebird soldiers quickly walked into the hall and reported. The enemy has stopped attacking and is beginning to pull back their defenses. Boss and Bali's expressions changed. Not good. Their super large-scale warp formation is about to activate, Boss said. Bali also said, It seems the 3 deities are about to arrive here. We need to, all of a sudden, a voice resounded from the void of space outside. All living beings who dared to protect or stand on the side of order, come out and meet your deaths. This was the voice of the god of life. She was the second deity of chaos, who was about to fully descend upon the void of space outside the Bramblebird Kingdom. Meow waved her hand in the void of space. The scene of the faraway void appeared in front of everyone. The super large-scale warp formation had been fully activated. The god of life's figure was slowly appearing. Lola spoke with a trembling voice. We don't have enough people. Even if the 3 deities don't act, their carriers of chaos will still drown the entire Bramblebird Kingdom. Meow replied, Don't be afraid. We're leaving right now. She took out the die. Everyone slowly understood what she meant. She was the most outstanding spatial mage in the entire 900 million world layers. Once she decided to run away, very few people would be able to catch up to her. Big sis Meow, where are we going now? Yi Fei asked. Meow solemnly replied, Everyone, do not resist the power of this die. Gu Qingshan has found a treasure to fight against the Soul Shrieker. I will now bring everyone to meet up with him. Saying so, she tossed the die to the ground. The entire Bramblebird Kingdom quickly shrank and disappeared from the vast void of space almost in the blink of an eye. A glowing emerald sphere appeared in Meow's hand. She glanced at the giant warp formation from afar, then disappeared into the void of space. At the same time, on the ship, the orange cat was sitting there, silently contemplating his strategy for war. In his vision, lines of glowing text were hovering in the void of space. Frowny face, you're currently absorbing the soul points within the space vortex at an average rate of 1 point per second. You're currently completing the absorption of the duo dragon power. Remaining time, 15 minutes. Attention! Please continue to maintain your mountain of orange form. If you transform into a human, this process will be interrupted and you will have to start all over again. The orange cat read through all the notifications. 15 minutes, huh? Very good, there's still time. Before I meet up with everyone, I will return to my human form. The orange cat slowly calmed down and casually swung his tail a few times. Apparently recalling something, he quickly retracted his tail. Something strange happened just now, as if there was a unique entity in the void of space that wanted to catch his tail. TCH, ever since I turned into a cat, more and more strange things have happened. I need to be careful. Chapter 12:17. A line of glowing text remained on the war god UI, frowny face attention. In 2 minutes, the duo dragon power conversion will be complete. The orange cat changed his posture and curled up on the pilot's seat. As a cat, this was actually the most comfortable position. Other than that, Gu Qingshan noticed that after turning into a cat, his senses had become exceptionally sharp. As the main sacrificer of the world offering, he could sense that more and more worlds were being destroyed within the 900 million world layers. The wills of many worlds were moaning in pain. This era was the era of chaos. Everyone who carried chaos were busy carrying destruction to increase their own power. Countless living beings were being killed for no reason at all. The earth was being destroyed. The sky was being broken. The 900 million world layers was on the verge of collapse. The orange cat narrowed his eyes as a thought appeared in his mind. This thought was becoming clearer and clearer, quickly taking root. Even the following steps were being taken. All of a sudden, he seemed to have noticed something and abruptly jumped up. The orange cat leapt onto the back of the seat, arched his back, opened his eyes wide, and cautiously stared at the void of space. The void of space flashed. A young girl appeared in the cockpit. Today, Meow was wearing a black leather jacket that gave her a heroic appearance. As soon as the orange cat saw her, he first sighed in relief, then asked in confusion, "Meow, meow, meow, meow?" Meow pointed at the green sphere in her hand and explained, "Meow, meow, 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 meow." The orange cat appeared stern, jumped onto the control panel, and quickly operated it with his paws. The ship quickly changed direction and headed in the opposite direction of the Bramblebird Kingdom. At this point, the green sphere began to glow. Everyone came out. "Whoa, it really is a cat!" Lola exclaimed in surprise. Anna quickly rushed forward, hugged the orange cat in her arms, and laughed joyfully. "Qingshan, aha, you're so cute." The orange cat nodded to Anna, then turned to everyone and spoke with a serious expression. "Meow, meow, meow." Meow translated for him. He said that we need to quickly run as far away as possible. "Is that so? Then where are we going?" Anna asked while stroking the orange cat's back. Then she stroked the orange cat's head. Lola walked over, put her hands on her chest, and begged Anna, "Sister Anna, can I touch it?" In the face of such a little girl, Anna did not think much and said generously, "Come." Lola reached her hand out and stroked the orange cat's back. "Wow, the fur is so soft. If you touch its head, it will close its eyes in comfort." "Is that so? Let me touch it." The orange cat protested. "Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow." Meow translated. He said that he didn't squint his eyes because it was comfortable, but because you guys squeeze his eyes too hard. "Stop!" Bali cut off their conversation and coldly declared, "Everyone, we are currently the final hope of the 900 million world layers, so we must think of a way to deal with Lola suddenly exclaimed. This tail. That's right, the thing I was touching seemed to be this tail. I believe in my intuition. What? Is that Gu Qingshan's tail? Boss walked forward and grabbed the cat's tail. So when you want to change the war, you can grab this tail of his. Seems like other than the method to deal with the soul shrieker, he must have found another way. Let me touch it. Lola took the cat's tail from Boss's hand and carefully stroked it. Ah, this is it. That's right, she sincerely said. Bali cleared his throat and tried to calm the atmosphere. We need to fight against chaos. After all, the era of chaos is too chaotic. Too many living beings are in this era. Anna picked up the orange cat and kissed him on the forehead. This immediately drew everyone's attention. She giggled at everyone and stuck out her tongue. Sorry about that. This is my man. He's too cute right now. So I couldn't help myself. Boss couldn't help but say, what's so special about turning into a cat? I know a spell that allows me to turn into a 3-headed demon dog. A dog with 3 heads. Huh? No one paid attention to him. Everyone was still looking at the orange cat. Jang Young-ho suddenly said, I have a black cat that can find various things. I wonder if Gu Qingshan would have any special abilities after turning into a cat. Do all cats have special abilities? Yi Fei asked with interest. Meow crossed her arms. From a probability perspective, there are more ability users among the cat race than any other race, and they all tend to have very unpopular abilities. She raised her chin and proudly said, otherwise, why do you think cats are so cold and aloof? Lola pointed at the orange cat. I think his ability is cuteness. Everyone was surprised. The orange cat had a helpless expression on his face, as if he really wanted to be petted. The orange cat's eyes were filled with helplessness. Why are you looking at me? He's only a cat right now. Aside from absorbing power, he can't do anything else. After this short period of experience, he understood the true value of Mountain of Orange, absorbing all power. In truth, other than the unique ability of the duo dragon power and the perfect connection with Magic Dragon's bloodline, as long as I carefully read the skill description of Evil Suppressor Physique, Mountain of Orange, I would notice a certain thing. The Divine Mountain of Sumeru was quite useful when it came to granting thaumaturgies. The ultimate version of the Mahesvara thaumaturgy it granted me was specifically made for the big tabby cat. Epithet, specifically used to absorb various powers and turn them into my own. In other words, when I'm a cat, I can become stronger by eating. And since I'm a food lover and culinary expert, this ability suits me very well. Perhaps one day, I'll actually become Mountain of Orange. Gu Qingshan suddenly realized. No wonder Shifu immediately told me not to become fat after seeing this ability. While she was thinking, a line of glowing text appeared on the war god. UI, frowny face, time's up. You fully absorbed the duo dragon power. All dragon power has been converted into cultivation type power. Your inner sight, spirit energy, blood essence, as well as the power of your body have all surpassed the upper limit of Mahesvara King realm. You may begin to face your tribulation at any time to reach Sumeru Lord realm. Don't be ridiculous. With how urgent the situation is, how am I supposed to face my tribulation? The cat in Anna's arms slowly grew thicker and larger until it finally took human form. Gu Qingshan, he had finally turned back. Time is of the essence. We need to prepare right away, he declared with a stern expression. Jang Young-ho asked, how should we prepare? The 3 deities are right behind us, and almost everyone in the 900 million world layers is on their side, Meow agreed. That's right, there's no way to fight this situation. That's why we're just chatting here and waiting for you to turn back, Bali sighed in relief. Thank God, Gu Qingshan is still reliable. He clenched his fist and said, as long as you can stop the Soul Shrieker's soul-sucking ability, I've actually prepared a suicidal method just for it to try. Everyone went silent. All of Bali's ultimate techniques were performed under the premise of suicidal methods. So these techniques were usually far more powerful than normal, capable of overwhelming power. But he couldn't die. That was why he was able to take his enemies down with him, regardless of who they were. Gu Qingshan shook his head. Just you alone isn't enough. Just as Ing Hao said, we're short on manpower, Bali replied. I've already called all the helpers I could. They've already fought quite a few battles. They're currently resting in the Bramble Bird Kingdom, Meow replied. Our Bramble Bird Kingdom has quite a few people, but compared to the 900 million world layers, we're nothing more than a drop in the ocean. If it weren't for the power of so many treasures, our defensive line would have already been breached before you returned. Gu Qing cleared her throat and looked at everyone. When I was still a cat, I could feel the cries of pain from the countless world within the 900 million world layers. Now that they're in danger, they would definitely be willing to help spread the word of this war and help me gather reinforcements. Everyone looked at him, waiting for the rest of his words. Gu Qing paused briefly, her gaze stopping at Lola. Lola, time is of the essence. You must immediately start a live stream within the 900 million world layers and declare war against chaos. Declare war. This was the plan that Gu Qing had already decided on when he allied himself with the Abyss. He originally intended to return to the Bramble Bird Kingdom and summon everyone within the 900 million world layers who were fighting against chaos to join the war. But now, the situation has changed. The three deities are about to return. Isn't it a bit too late to declare war at this point in time? Everyone was doubtful. Lola replied, No problem. Are we going to summon everyone to join the war? Yes, boss cut in. But the three deities are about to catch up. Even if those who are dissatisfied with chaos are willing to join the war, it's already too late, Bali also scowled. Shouldn't we change our plans? Gu Qing shook her head and casually replied, The true decisive battle is about to begin. My plan has always been prepared for this. Even after so much time has passed, I'm much more confident than before. He turned his gaze towards the void of space. Lines of glowing text hovered their frowny face. You have the power of the blessing of the past worlds. You've just absorbed a large amount of power. You can now perform a dance of the earth god. Attention, this is a dance of the gods. You'll have to complete it by yourself, as your wish is to fight against chaos. Many world spirits that have been ravaged by chaos will come to help you. They will allow those who are willing to join the war to cross space. Chapter 12:18. Everything is ready, Lola said. Gu Qing closed her eyes and asked, How many worlds have you connected? Lola replied, There were already countless worlds that were paying attention to our battle against the Chaos faction. So as soon as I connected them, they immediately accepted our connection. Gu Qing stayed silent for a bit, then muttered, The future of the 900 million world layers will be decided today. At this point, Ilya came forward with an inquiring expression. Lola nodded and said, Begin. Yes, on top of the platform, a blinding light descended from above, illuminating the entire area. Gu Qing opened his eyes and looked at the platform. Everyone looked at him. He drew the earth sword, walked up the stairs, and stood still on top of the platform, and stopped for a breath's worth of time. Under the gazes of billions of worlds, he raised his sword. A sorrowful female voice could be faintly heard. A melodious flute drifted in the wind. Like a cold gleam, the sword lightly slashed through the void of space. Everything around it was sliced to pieces by the sword. Countless worlds appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Burning, pillaging, burning corpses to silence witnesses, endless battles, and cruel torture. This happened in every world. Gu Qing spoke, her voice resounding in everyone's minds. The era of chaos is currently in its prelude. The worlds are heading towards destruction due to the existence of the true god of chaos. No one can stop this cruel era from descending. Everyone's hearts became heavy. Indeed, whenever the carriers of chaos ran into a powerful obstacle, they would immediately expend a lot of their power to pay tribute to the true god of chaos, borrowing the power of chaos to kill those who stood in their way. The carriers of chaos already carried all sorts of chaos. Their unique powers were endless, and with the protection of the gods, these carriers of chaos had never lost. Chaos continued to spread, unstoppable. At this point, Gu Qing voice resounded again. Today, we have found hope against chaos. The sword lightly danced. The images faded away. A new scene appeared in the sword light. On top of a lone steel peak, two humanoid soldiers made of metal stood there. A soldier raised a sniper rifle, and aimed into the distance. Inside the gun barrel that was as thick as the rim of a bowl, endless dark blue light flickered. The other soldier entered the steel peak and gradually disappeared. A giant metal insect that was dozens of meters long appeared. Its entire body was made of metal, and there was no sign of flesh or blood. Its compound eyes flickered with free electrons. This giant metal insect spread its 12 thin metal wings and circled in the sky. At this moment, the soldier with the gun suddenly pulled the trigger. The scene followed the powerful beam of light that shot out from the muzzle of the gun, traveled over 10,000 miles, and heavily struck this soul shrieker's body. It stood among the countless monsters and was blasted into the air by the attack that came from far away. The giant metal insect swooped down, caught the soul shrieker, and spun it around. Layers of white threads began to wrap around the monster. Gu Qingshan's voice resounded again. Within the infinite world's apocalypse, the deity of chaos isn't invincible because he has a mortal enemy called Order. He waved his sword. All the images dimmed and disappeared. Gu Qingshan once again unleashed an arc of sword phantom to completely erase the images. He continued to swing his sword, like a deity displaying miracles to all living beings. Within the infinite worlds, everyone was closely watching his every move, afraid that they would miss a single detail. Indeed, no one had ever seen the soul shrieker lose. Whenever the carrier of chaos called upon its power, it would immediately win an overwhelming victory. This was a publicly acknowledged fact without any exceptions. But just now, the soul shrieker was clearly sent flying by a single shot. A single shot? What kind of power is this? Dong, 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 dong. The sound of the war drum slowly resounded. The dull and monotonous sound of the drum caused everyone's emotions to slowly accumulate. Listen, Gu Qingshan raised her sword and abruptly uttered a frenzied roar. Those who are still alive, listen. No matter how many setbacks you've suffered in this era, how much dignity and dignity you've lost, what precious things you've lost, everything has been fated to be irreversible. Dong, 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 dong. The sound of the drum gradually became more forceful, carrying a sense of desolation and sorrow. The cold gleam of her sword abruptly intensified, turning into a beautiful arc of light that manifested another image. The age of old. The soul shrieker's head was pierced through by the seven-colored spear, trembling as it took a few steps forward, knelt on the ground, and remained motionless. It was dead. Its corpse was reflected in everyone's eyes, deeply engraved in their hearts. Another beat of the drum joined in. The two drum beats overlapped and chased after each other, gradually becoming filled with fighting spirit. Gu Qingshan stabbed her sword into the ground and spoke with a calm and powerful voice. Although nothing can be undone, there is now a chance for us to turn the tables one day, when we also leave this world, once again facing those who we view as precious treasures, those precious things that were destroyed by the age of chaos. We can puff out our chests and tell them. Gu Qingshan suddenly raised her voice and shouted, "We once fought to protect you." With the swords in our hands, our strong spines, and the rage in our hearts, even if we have to bleed to the last drop of our blood, we will die without regrets. The drumming became more and more frequent, louder and louder, like a thunderstorm. Gu Qingshan stabbed her sword into the ground with determination in her eyes. Everyone who hasn't given up hope, if you still have the courage, come, fight by my side, as soon as she said so. In the void of space, the spirits of the infinite worlds uttered a sorrowful cry. The spirits of all the remaining worlds within the 900 million world layers. They had all come. Countless whispers resounded in the ears of billions of living beings. At this moment, they knew that as long as they were willing to participate in the war, the infinite worlds would release their power to bring them to that person's side. Participate in the war, a fragmented world. He used his trembling hand to stroke the old painting. The woman in the painting was smiling like a blooming flower. A voice full of pain resounded. "I want to participate in the war." a world filled with the flames of war. He knelt in front of the tombstones and resolutely declared, "I want to participate in the war." In a deathly silent world, in the empty ruins, a voice full of hatred suddenly resounded. "I want to participate in the war." In a world filled with monsters. From time to time, voices could be heard from the fully armored crowd. "I want to participate in the war." The demi-world, Xianya carried the child in her arms, stood up from her throne, and ordered, "Relay my order. All demis are to participate in the war." Understood. The purgatory world. Sha Chong stroked his chin and complained, "Why did this brat want to fight the deity of chaos again? Why didn't he tell us in advance, hey? Tell us what happened when the deity of chaos sent someone to promote chaos last time?" An evil creature replied, "My king, that person is right under your feet." Sha Chong glanced at the head at his feet and scoffed. "We evil creatures are not their dogs, all evil creatures. Heed my order. We are to participate in the war." In the square across from him, the evil creatures all shouted in unison, "Yes, King of Purgatory." Sky Hay's world. Hayes Din had already donned his armor and smiled. "Of course, chaos is our enemy. Relay my order. Everyone is to participate in the war." "Yes, your majesty." The magma world. Gaian put on the gauntlet of flame and casually said, "Let's go. Follow me into battle." "Yes, my lord." A few Samsara world fragments. The Tianma, evil creatures, and Azuras were discussing among themselves. "Isn't that Devil King Gu?" "That's right. He was the one who made a deal with us during the last Heaven's tribulation." "I'll say, why didn't he call us for this deal?" "Are you kidding me? That's the deity of chaos we're talking about. The entire 900 million world layers is in chaos. Because of it, no one dares to show themselves. But its opponent is Devil King Gu. As you can see, Devil King Gu found a way to deal with it. Speaking of which, Devil King Gu is much smarter than all of you, Silence. Then, if the deal is too big, Devil King Gu is afraid that we won't be able to swallow it all. Seems like that's the case. Silence again. Join the war. Join the war. Join the war. Let's go. Let's fight together with the Devil King. The Pixies world. Aha! The 900 million world layers fate has reached a crucial juncture. Father. What do you think? What are you looking at? Let's join the war. Why? We were all saved by him. Pixies don't owe favors. Not to mention, the things he's done make me believe that he isn't completely unsure. Is it worth betting on the fate of the Pixies? Of course, if he also fails, the era of chaos will fully descend. At that time, the Pixies won't have a good time either. Then it's decided, we Pixies will also join the fray. The Pixies finished their discussion and prepared to move out. The long-bearded old man suddenly recalled something and asked, "Ah, right. Where are our divine armaments?" The Pixie King replied, "Don't worry. At a time like this, I've already prepared everything." The long-bearded old man excitedly swung his new short stick. "It's been a long time since we Pixies have shown our might. This time we're going to go all out. Come, let's join the war." At another location, on the high platform, Anna walked behind Gu Qingshan and asked in a low voice, "How is it? This war will be even harder than the one in Huangquan. Are you confident?" Gu Qingshan replied, "I'm not, but I have to do it." Anna leaned on him and whispered, "No matter what, I'll fight by your side. I'm the god of death if I don't let you die." "You won't die," Gu Qingshan smiled, feeling warmth in her heart. More and more people were arriving from the void of space, ready to participate in this decisive battle. The number of people who carried chaos was the same number of their enemies, even more than the number of them. There were quite a few powerful professionists with morals and bottom lines. Unfortunately, although they had the advantage in numbers, they weren't a match for the carriers of chaos. After all, carriers of chaos had their own personal chaos UI that could aid them in battle. Gu Qingshan silently watched and waited. At a certain point, he held the 3 coins in his hand. Chapter 1219. The Mystic Zones. The original location of the Bramblebird Kingdom. 3 gigantic figures stood in the void of space. Countless carriers of chaos surrounded them like stars surrounding the moon, protecting them. The god of life, magic dragon, the soul shrieker. When Gu Shan declared war against order and chaos to the entire 900 million world layers, the three deities had returned from the past. They stood in the void of space, silently watching Gu Shan's sword dance. The god of life's black tentacles moved. You really think you're a big shot now. Just watch as I kill you from afar. While saying so, she gathered her tentacles together. A gloomy, cold glow gathered at the tip of the tentacles, slowly giving off a sharp, screeching noise. Don't attack the soul, Shrieker said. Why not? He's caused so much harm to both of us. I want revenge right now. The god of life begrudgingly declared. Magic Dragon replied. If you don't want to die, wait until he finishes this sword dance, then think of a way to deal with him. The god of life couldn't help but turn to the soul, Shrieker, and Magic Dragon. Both of their expressions were extremely solemn, even a bit nervous. The god of life was surprised and asked, "Why can't we attack?" Magic Dragon spoke in a low voice. During the bygone era, humanity who escaped from a parallel universe created the primordial heaven realm and wraith realm. At the time, a top-level combatant unintentionally obtained an inheritance from the dusty world. The god of life slowly understood, shivered, and asked, "So, it was this dance?" Magic Dragon replied, "Indeed, he obtained this dance, and when he performs it, he can resonate with countless worlds of the past." The soul shrieker also said, "Whenever this dance appears, the wills of countless worlds of the past would descend. The overlapping power is not something you and I can fight against," Magic Dragon continued. "Not only that, this dance is only the first few stages. If he were to cultivate it to the later stages," the god of life angrily shouted, "Damn it, can't we just kill an ant like him?" The soul shrieker replied, "Even if the dance is over, we can't use super long-range spells to attack him, because he would copy our divine retribution and use it against us." Magic Dragon grinned and smiled cruelly. "So, the best way to kill him is to charge forward and kill him." The soul shrieker added, "We shouldn't have too many people, otherwise he might be able to take advantage of us and find our loopholes. So it's best if the few of us directly attack. Ignore those ants and directly kill him. As long as he's dead, the situation will be fine," Magic Dragon said. The god of life looked at their cautious expressions and didn't say anything for a long time. He was a god. Now his two companions, who were almost as strong as him, were going to kill a mortal in such a way. 3 gods against 1 mortal. Was it worth it? After a while, the god of life calmed down and said, "All right, let's go together." They turned into 3 streams of light and disappeared from where they stood. The 3 deities flew through the space vortex as fast as lightning. In less than a minute, they would be able to reach Gu Shan's location. At this point, Gu Shan was talking to the pixies. "They'll probably be here soon. Are you sure you can stall one of them?" Gu Shan cautiously asked. The long-bearded old man patted his chest. "I can't guarantee that we'll be able to kill them, but it shouldn't be an issue to stall the weakest one." Gu Shan stared deeply at the long-bearded old man and said, "If that's the case, my plan will be a bit more assured at this point." Bali walked up and whispered, "It's done." Gu Shan nodded. "Everyone, follow me," he shouted towards the void of space. Following that, Bali, Meow, Lola, Anna, and the rest all boarded the ship with him. Gu Shan nodded to Lola. Lola chanted an incantation. Soon enough, the faint image of the great bramble tree manifested behind her. Lola bowed to the tree and said, "Please follow Gu Shan. This will be our toughest battle. Regardless of what happens, please follow him." The tree gave off a faint emerald green aura. It agreed. Seeing that, Gu Shan tossed 3 coins into the air. The great bramble tree, the demon king of order, the angel of condemnation. 3 coins, 3 different powers. Space-time reversal, activate. A black fog rose from the ground and quickly enveloped the entire ship. The black fog continued to spread until it covered the entire void of space. The people who came from various worlds to participate in the war were all enveloped by the black fog. Boom! With a resounding noise, the ship and everyone on board slowly fell into the abyss of black light, as if they had fallen into an endless ocean. This place was filled with darkness that couldn't be measured by time or space. Everything around them disappeared. Various scenes flashed by in this place. Time was rewinding in a manner that felt like it was flowing in reverse. Gradually, the black fog became thin and turned into a thin layer of white fog. The ship continued to travel through the endless fog. Below the fog of space-time, a long river of light flowed continuously. This was the river of time, eternally motionless. Everyone was flying in the opposite direction of the river. Within the river of time, occasionally, a few gigantic monsters would leap up and devour the various indescribable entities that were shrouded in the river or the fog. Fortunately, the ship didn't fall into any era, nor did it affect any history, so it didn't attract the attention of those monsters. Everyone was continuously moving backwards in the flow of time, back to the day of the spire's destruction at another location. Halfway through their flight, the three deities suddenly sensed something. "Oh no, the order has left the current flow of time," the soul shrieker angrily roared. Magic Dragon tossed the 3 coins into the air and cruelly smirked. "Try to run away as soon as you see us coming at you? Dream on." Boundless black fog enveloped the 3 deities and vanished from the void of space. They stepped into the river of time to chase after the ship. All of a sudden, a gigantic figure appeared from the void of space. The god of life. She couldn't follow Magic Dragon back to the past. "Strange. What's going on?" the god of life doubtfully muttered. She cautiously looked around. "No need to look. It was us pixies who made you stay here today." A long-bearded old man appeared from the void of space. The black tentacles all over the god of life's body wriggled and reached out in every direction. Countless pixies appeared and surrounded her. "How interesting," she smirked in a strange manner. "To think that you puny imps dare to scheme against me. Seems like you want to go extinct from the 900 million world layers." The long-bearded old man cleared his throat and replied, "We can't kill you either. After all, you were once a true deity of the inner plane, so you've come here to feed me?" the god of life asked. The countless black tentacles around her body were wriggling, ready to strike. The long-bearded old man shook his head. "We only need to stall you and buy him some time." As soon as he said so, a short wooden hammer about the size of a palm appeared in the long-bearded old man's hand. Following that, a solemn and heavy wooden table appeared in front of the old man. The long-bearded old man struck the wooden table with a short hammer, giving off a resounding dong-dong sound. "Prepare for the trial," the long-bearded old man shouted. A mystical fluctuation began to radiate from the short hammer and spread all over the place. The god of life suddenly sensed something amiss. Countless black tentacles reached out and twisted towards the old man, but all passed through his body. It was as if the old man had entered a different space-time, completely immune to any attacks. "That's impossible," the god of life exclaimed in shock. A tidal wave of black tentacles emerged from her body and swept through the void of space. Not a single pixies were hit by it. The god of life froze, then realized, "No, it wasn't the old man who entered a different space-time. It was me." The god of life's figure flashed and was about to leave. But no matter how she flew, flashed, or moved, she remained where she was. The long-bearded old man stared closely at the god of life and spoke in a low voice. "The gavel has been struck before this trial is over. You cannot leave." The god of life pondered for a bit, then suddenly smiled. "I heard that pixies have a gavel with a powerful law of causality, capable of interrogating any entity. I've always thought that to be nonsense, but now it seems to be true." She slowly spoke with an expression of indifference on her face. "However, this gavel emphasizes fairness and justice above all else. If no accuser appears after the trial begins, this trial will backfire on the entire pixie race, causing at least half of them to die." The long-bearded old man's pupils dilated, understanding the meaning behind her words. That's impossible. You've killed countless people, slaughtering trillions of living beings. It's impossible for there to be no accuser. The old man shouted, then shouted, Men, according to the law of causality, any entity that holds a grudge against the god of life can appear in court and accuse her. This is the perfect chance for you to take revenge. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. No one appeared. The long-bearded old man was soaked in cold sweat and muttered in a daze. How is that possible? You're clearly a deity with heinous sins, the god of life laughed. You miscalculated. If someone held a grudge against me through causality, it would definitely be the survivors of Calming Soul Country, but they were all taken away by Gu Qing Shan. The long-bearded old man shouted. That's not right. After you belonged to chaos, you slaughtered countless living beings. The god of life purposely sighed and spoke in a sinister tone. I'm not the same as Magic Dragon and the others. Each time I slaughter a world, I don't leave a single living being, not even their souls. I devour them all. Ahahaha. So I'm sorry, but there really is no such thing as an accuser. The long-bearded old man's expression turned ashen. The gavel in his hand began to tremble intensely, as if it was about to explode in the very next second. The pixies all began to sob. The activation of the law of causality had failed, so they had to accept the consequences of death. All of a sudden, a voice resounded from the void of space. I want to accuse her. The long-bearded old man felt like he had been saved and abruptly turned around, only to see a middle-aged man with a dignified bearing slowly appearing in front of the pixies. Hundreds of voices resounded from his body. We are the previous kings of Calming Soul Country. Having drifted through the void for a very long time, we now wish to accuse our ancestor, the god of life. He looked at the god of life with a sorrowful expression. I accuse her of betraying the name of the deities, cowering in fear of death, recklessly devouring her descendants. She truly deserves to go to hell. The long-bearded old man banged his gavel and shouted. The accuser has arrived. The court shall now begin. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.